My 23F mother, 54F, didn't realize how much I helped out around the house until I moved out, and now she wants me back. I have a big family. I grew up living with 2 younger brothers, 1 younger sister, grandparents, and my mom and dad. I'm significantly the oldest kid in my family, 8 years older than John, my brother, the second oldest in the house. My parents never assigned chores to any of us growing up, but I helped out around the house a lot. I've just always been very cleanly and organized, and I never minded it. I was always cleaning, vacuuming, doing dishes, helping cook, doing the family's laundry, etc. Nobody forced this role on me, but nobody really appreciated it or thanked me either. Again, I didn't really mind. I was just being a dutiful daughter, responsible person. I lived at home through college. I grew up in my college town. So I just commuted. A few months ago, however, I had decided that I had saved enough money and got an apartment with some of my college friends. Apparently, since I have moved out, our family situation has become chaotic and my mom feels overwhelmed. No one helps her at all with any chores. She basically told me that she had no idea how much I was helping out around the house until I moved out. Because I was always doing stuff without being asked, she didn't really know who was keeping everything clean, and just assumed it was a joint effort from the whole family. Now that nobody is around to silently look after everyone, everything is a mess. Everyone in my home has developed a string of messy bad habits because somebody else was taking care of them all the time. She said it's my responsibility that no one in the family has learned to properly take care of themselves growing up, and wants me to move back home. I don't know if I should do it. I guess growing up, especially with my younger siblings, I was just always the default babysitter. I was just used to taking care of them. So even when they got to the age where they were old enough to take care of themselves, I was too far in the habit. I don't know how me moving back home will totally fix that, though, but I do feel a little responsible, TLDR. Grew up taking care of my family and household duties. I moved out, and my home has become a mess. No one realized how much I cleaned up around the house until I was gone. And now my mom wants me to move back. Relevant comments, commenter 1. She said it's my responsibility that no one in the family has learned to properly take care of themselves growing up. That's crazy. That was her responsibility. She just wants your free labor, commenter 2. This is it? Pretty sure it is the responsibility of the parents, not the kids, to teach and nurture. Commenter 3. To your mom, tough shit. You are not responsible at all and owe her nothing in this. 2 younger brothers, 1 younger sister, grandparents, and my mom and dad. That is 7 people who can clean the damned house. My guess is it's either A, other issues that your mom is deflecting, or B, she's lazy and figured that since she trained 1 kid, that kid would train the rest. For God's sake, don't move back. If she needs help, look up maid services she can hire. Commenter 4. Normal response. Oh my God, dear. I had no idea you did everything around here. How awful. I should have noticed and then set up a roster so that we could all do our share. I'm so sorry. You really shouldn't have done all of that by yourself. You have spoiled us, sweetheart. You really are too kind. Here's a book about standing up for yourself. And a big thank you present, your mom. We didn't know you did all that work. We will not thank you. We will blame you. We will not change. Now come back and be our slave. Commenter 5. Well, that ship has sailed. Your mom can't expect you to live with her forever. Just tell her it's nice that she misses you. But you're a young adult now, and this had to happen sooner or later. She can hire a cleaner if that's all she misses about you being gone. Final update. My 23F mother, 54F, didn't realize how much I helped out around the house until I moved out, and now she wants me back. TLDR original. Grew up taking care of my family and household duties. I moved out, and my home has become a mess. No one realized how much I cleaned up around the house until I was gone, and now my mom wants me to move back. I was kind of surprised by how much everyone's response to my mother was a resounding no. It made me feel silly for even considering it. There was really no benefit to keep enabling my mom and move back home. Well, Reddit. I'm sad to say that turning my mom down was the first time I had ever really stood up to her, and it did not go well. She instantly started guilt-tripping me, how she had raised me, how family was everything, how I was being selfish and abandoning her. When that didn't work, her insults turned more aggressive. She said I owed her money, the money it cost to raise me, put me through college. My parents paid partial tuition, the accumulation of rent for letting me live at home during college. At no point had we ever discussed this, etc. Again, she pressed that I was taking advantage of the family by not moving back home and helping out. I don't want to get into much detail because I am still very sad about how this has turned out. but my mom hasn't responded to my calls in weeks. She's antagonized me against the whole family, telling my siblings that I did something ambiguously terrible and am abandoning the family. I had a phone conversation with my sister Rachel, who said something along the lines of, "Mom said you did something really mean to her. She won't tell us what, but she said that's why she made you move out." I've never been really close to my siblings, but I'm kind of taken aback how little anyone seems to care that I'm gone. Recently my mom put up a picture on Facebook of the whole family, with me absent, captioned, "The only people in my life I'll ever need." I'm trying to focus on my work and my friends to get through this, but I am in a very sad place right now, TLDR. Mom didn't take it well that I'm not moving home. She's completely cut me out of her life and is trying to turn my family against me. Relevant comments, commenter 1. She's going through an extinction burst, stepping up the behaviors that have worked in the past in order to make you bend to her will. Stay strong. When you doubt yourself, just remember that your mother doesn't care about you. She cares about what you can do for her. If she remotely cared about you, she wouldn't be acting this way. Reply. Thank you for this perspective. I think this makes a lot of sense. I'm no longer going to reinforce her behavior and am going to stop contacting her. I get the feeling that she likes that I am struggling to reach out to her and wants to make me suffer. Commenter 2. Wow, the Facebook thing would kind of seal it for me. I'd screenshot that, and someday in the future, when she calls you needing help with something, I'd pull out that picture and tell her that she should just call one of the other people since that's all she'll ever need. Commenter 3. If I were really in need of reminding what I meant to my mother, I'd set that as her profile pic in my phone. Commenter 4. First of all, quit calling mom. All you're doing is making her feel better by allowing her to give you the silent treatment. Stop doing that and go about living your life. Hell, unfollow her on Facebook so you don't have to see any of the shit she posts. If any of your siblings call again, ask if they notice how filthy the house has gotten since you left. Tell them you were the one keeping the house clean, and mom's pissed because you refuse to come back home and play servant. If they get pissy too, block their numbers and carry on with your life. Things will cool down in a few months, and you can re-establish a relationship with your family on your terms. Commenter 5. First of all, quit calling mom. All you're doing is making her feel better by allowing her to give you the silent treatment. Stop doing that and go about living your life. Hell, unfollow her on Facebook so you don't have to see any of the shit she posts. Commenter 6. I swear if you quit calling your mom, she'll start calling you again. Right now she loves that she is punishing you. She feels justified for making you feel bad. Just remember that. She thinks she has the right to make you feel terrible. Reply. It literally never occurred to me until now that she's ignoring me because she likes that I'm still reaching out and suffering. Well, I'm done now. I'm honestly so shocked still how much my mom seems to enjoy my guilt. Commenter 7. Ugh. The fact that you spent your entire time at that house doing chores without being asked and without any appreciation, only to be harassed and abused when you refuse to go back to that situation makes my blood boil. You made the right choice, OP. You don't need family who treats you like trash. Stories number 2. I 30F just learned my husband 31M has feelings for my SIL 29F and hates my brother 32M. I've been married to Jack for 4 years and we've been together since HS. Our marriage is pretty great. We have our ups and downs, but we're usually able to work through it and talk about our feelings like adults. We were just starting to discuss having children before this came up. Now things are a mess and I don't know what to do. Charlie and Kate have been married for 5 years and have also been together since HS. My brother and I have been extremely close since we were kids. He's always there for me and I love him with all my heart. Kate is a wonderful person and is one of my best friends. She's my family now too and I love her to death. She's sweet, funny, and a great friend. Charlie and Kate have a great marriage, honestly even better than my own. They're a real team. They're always there for each other. And you can tell that they really love each other. From what I know, they're currently trying to conceive. I'm so excited to be an aunt. We've all gotten along until now. This is the first time anything like this has happened. About 2 weeks ago, Charlie invited us over to have a few drinks and hang out at their place to celebrate Kate's birthday. It was going okay at first. We talked about having kids and our jobs and generally caught up. Jack ended up drinking way too much. He started flirting with Kate and she was obviously uncomfortable. He told Jack to stop it multiple times and tried to stay away from him. Charlie started getting irritated rightly, so Jack was flirting with his wife and being a drunken idiot and told Jack to stop again. Multiple times. I also tried to get Jack to knock it off and shut up. But he wouldn't, and I was honestly pissed off too. Jack got pissed when Charlie tried to intervene. He told Charlie how much he hated him and wished he was dead, then went on to confess how much he loves Kate and wishes he would have ended up with her. Jack decided to try to touch Kate. She freaked out, and Charlie was done. He told us both to get the fuck out. I dragged Jack out of there, and I was just shocked and disgusted at his behavior. The next day, Jack told me that he did have feelings for Kate and was resentful of Charlie because of it. He told me that he loved me and would never cheat on me. He was drunk, and what he did was a mistake. He apologized over and over again for his behavior, promised me he loved me and wanted to be with me, etc. He apologized to Charlie and Kate for what happened, but they aren't happy. I'm still not sure how to feel. His behavior was awful, inappropriate, and borderline assault. It also makes me feel shitty that he hates my brother. I talked to Charlie the other day. He told me that he isn't comfortable having Jack around anymore, especially around Kate. Apparently, she's pretty shaken up by what happened, the unwanted touching, attempted kiss, love confession, and incredibly uncomfortable around Jack. I understand completely, but now I'm stuck. I'm just angry, upset, and unsure of what to do now. I don't want my relationship with my brother and SEL to be ruined because Jack was an asshole. I don't know what to do about Jack's confession. It honestly makes me feel sick to my stomach. It all came out of nowhere. Everything was great before this. We were all friends. Now my husband apparently loves another woman and wishes my brother was dead. I want to salvage this because I do love Jack. I really do, but I have no idea where to start. I want to be a part of my future niece's nephew's life. I want to be able to be around my brother and SEL because they're wonderful people and I love them so much. It's all crashing down and I don't know how to handle it. Is there a way to work through this? What should I do? Can I salvage this? TLDR. Husband drunkenly confessed that loves my SEL and hates my brother. Now my SEL and brother want nothing to do with him. I don't know what to do. Please help. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. You really want to stay with a man who tried to force himself intimately on your brother's wife, told her in front of you and her husband that he's in love with her and wishes he wasn't with you, and told your brother he wants him dead? Come on, OP, have some self-respect. Commenter 2. I also wonder how much further he would have pushed himself onto SIL had OP and brother not been there. Scary thought. Commenter 3. You get divorced. He admitted while sober that he was in love with her. Update. Hi, relationships. I know this update is coming fast, but I've made my decision, and I thought you'd all like to know. A lot has happened in the past day, but in the end, I think I'm making the right choice. TBH, I think I knew this is what I had to do all along, but I was in denial. I want to start off by thanking everyone for their advice, kind words, and even tough love. I have decided to end our marriage and get a divorce ASAP. It's heartbreaking and painful for me to do this, but honestly, I don't think I could live with knowing my husband loves another woman and assaulted her in front of me. The fact that this is my SIL makes it even worse. I don't think we can come back from this, and I would always feel like I wasn't his first choice. Plus, he touched and kissed Kate without her consent, which is an awful thing to do by itself. I sat down and really thought about what happened and how it made me feel. It made me feel disgusted, hurt, and angry. It made me feel like an idiot. It broke my heart. I couldn't believe the man I loved, the man I have been with for almost a decade of my life, would betray me and hurt me like this. It almost doesn't feel real. To think we were going to have kids, to think I trusted him and gave him all the love I could. It fucking hurts. A lot of you suggested that maybe he married me so he could be close to Kate. We sat down last night, I showed him your comments, and he broke down. He admitted to me that yes, he did marry me to be closer to her. It's always been her. From day one of our relationship, it's been a ploy to stay close to Kate. Not only is this devastating to me, but it's extremely creepy, and I feel bad that Kate ever had to be around Jack. His intentions were almost predatory. Who knows what he would have done to Kate if her husband and I hadn't been there to intervene. I honestly think he would have done some truly horrible things to her, given the chance. He begged me to stay. He promised he loved me. He could get over Kate. He wanted me. I was his soulmate. We were meant to be together. He would go to therapy to work on his issues, and we would be okay. He was sobbing and begging and trying to convince me to stay. I wasn't hearing it. I'm done. He's a liar. He's been lying to me for years. He's creepy, horrible, and I can't live with him knowing what he did and how he truly feels. I called Charlie to talk to him about everything. Like always, he's here for me. He's incredibly pissed at Jack because of what Jack did to Kate. Kate is still shaken up and upset. She feels violated, and her trust in Jack someone she considered her friend for years, has been destroyed. Charlie told me that if I had chosen to stay with Jack, it was very likely our relationship would have died right then and there. Charlie told me he refused to talk to anybody who believed what Jack did to Kate. Assaulted her was okay or forgivable, and even if that somebody was me. He also thinks what Jack did to me for all these years is beyond cruel, and he's angry about that. 2. I still have to contact a lawyer and get things in order. It's only been a day since I've made my decision. But you were all so helpful to me. I can't begin to express how thankful I am for your comments. In the end, my brother and Esil are the people that matter most to me. They're my real family, the people who love me. And they're here to support me through this decision. I'm young. There's still hope for me to find someone who sincerely loves me. There's still hope of starting a family. There's still time left for all of that. I'd rather take my chances of finding someone new than staying with Jack. Thank you, again, for everything. You update too. Thanks for the condolences and kind words. It really means a lot to me, to address some concerns. I will be extra careful and keep an eye out for anything Jack tries to do. Like many of you said, his obsession is unraveling, so he might do something drastic. I'm going to contact my lawyer ASAP to start seeing what I can do, change all of my passwords, get my bank accounts in order, etc. I have also removed any information of my future whereabouts and plans, as some of you suggested. I'm going to book an appointment with a therapist. I feel like it would benefit me and help me work through this whole thing. Kate doesn't want to interact with Jack, but she is thinking about getting a restraining order. Understandably, she doesn't feel safe around Jack at all and would rather have nothing to do with him. She's also going to be extra careful, since she's the person of Jack's obsession, and he'll probably try contacting her, doing something crazy. Charlie is there to protect her. He's a former Marine, 6'3", and pretty dang intimidating, so I'm sure they'll both be okay. We're all here for each other. Some people don't believe this is real because of my timeline. I said we've been together since HS in the last post, but then said almost a decade in this post. This was a mistake. I meant to type over a decade. I can't prove the validity of my story, so you'll just have to take my word for it. I don't really feel the need to explain myself here. You either believe me or you don't. It's a bizarre situation. I can't explain Jack's behavior any better than you can. On the bright side, Charlie and Kate are still trying for a baby, so there's a pretty good chance I'll be an aunt in the near future. There's still hope for me to find the one. In the meantime, I'm going to focus on me, and moving on from this whole thing. Thanks for the concern and encouragement. TLDR, getting a divorce. Sad. Scared but hopeful. Thank you, Reddit. Stories number 3. My 24F husband, 26M, left me passed out on the floor while sick, and then got mad at me the next morning. I see him different now. We've been married for a few years and have a baby. We had relationship issues after the baby, but I thought we had resolved them, and he promised he would be better and all that. He did get better. He did his share around the house, and house chores aren't a big issue because he just does what needs to be done without complaint or comment. But something at the back of my head felt off. I never really explored the nagging feeling, but now I realized that he never showed me any extra care. In fact, he gets upset or easily frustrated with me if I cause any extra inconvenience. Not sure how I didn't notice until now, so 2 days ago, I think I got sick. I was feeling that gross, thick skin feeling and vertigo, lightheaded, IDK, and by nighttime I was shivering and freezing. I was still able to function, so I didn't think much of it. Complained to my husband about it, and then we went to sleep. Yesterday, I woke up feeling like my bones were lead. IDK how I functioned yesterday, but it felt like autopilot. My boss messaged me with some tasks, so I did them on my phone before my baby woke up. Rolled out of bed, and somehow took my sister to school, came back and worked some more. Usually I have energy to flip between being a mom and working, but yesterday I just laid on the floor to work while my 1-year-old watched some Ms. Rachel. Then had to pick up my sister from school, come home to make dinner, and by the time my husband came home, I felt dead on my feet. Anytime I moved, it felt like I was lagging and my body couldn't keep up. I told my husband this a few times. We ate. I put away the leftovers and put the baby to sleep while my husband went to his office to do some quick work. After this, I don't really remember because my brain was foggy. I found myself in his office. We exchanged a few words, but I don't remember what, and next thing I knew, I woke up alone in his office on the floor. I felt so heavy and out of it. It took so much effort to get up, but when I got out, all the lights were off. The kitchen was not touched and he was in bed. I just stood in the kitchen and realized that he just doesn't care. I already knew he wasn't going to clean the kitchen tomorrow, and that he didn't care. I felt off. I had a busy day planned, and I didn't have time to wash all the dishes the next day, so I loaded the dishwasher and then went to bed. I laid down, and 5 minutes later, my husband very angrily told me to turn off the lights in the kitchen. At this point, I had no energy to deal with him, so I ignored him and fell asleep. The next morning, today, I woke up covered in sweat, but that gross feeling was gone. That's when I realized that I was sick. My husband was upset with me. He wouldn't talk or look at me and was stomping around. I tried to ask him about yesterday, but he just grumbled something about me confusing him. Everything from yesterday caught up, and I just can't see him the same. I realized that he has never taken care of me, or done anything that was inconvenient for him. I've been sick before, and every time it's the same thing. He gets upset at me somehow. After I had a baby, he was upset that nothing was kept up around the house, yet got angry with me when I fainted from overexertion at 2 weeks postpartum. I remember him yelling at me that I did this to myself and it's my fault for not taking care of myself, even though just 2 days before, he was telling me that he was angry with me for not keeping up with laundry, and that I needed to clean the kitchen because it was starting to smell, and he didn't want to cook anymore. Don't even get me started on how he never woke up at night. All these memories hit me and I just am disgusted by him. How did I not see this? What do I even do? I'm going to stop here before the post gets too long. Edit. He just texted me saying he's beat and could barely brush his teeth this morning. I don't even know what to respond. I can't believe I took care of this man every time he got sick, and after 2 surgeries. Update. My 24F husband 26M left me passed out on the floor while sick, and then got mad at me the next morning. I see him different now. Hi, so I'm still alive. I've had a surprising amount of people message me a week or 2 ago, and it's very kind of you people to care. I'll go right into what happened. I went to the hospital that day, since a shocking percentage of people suspected he could have messed with something, but no. The doctor said nothing came up. But he did say I had high blood pressure and recommended me to a cardiologist. I still have a month left before the appointment. When my husband got home from work, he was acting like everything was normal. I wanted to see if he would inquire at all about my faint the night prior, but nothing. So after the baby was settled for the night, I asked him why I woke up alone in his office. He got instantly angry with me and seemed annoyed I even brought it up. He said that I was acting confusing, and what was he supposed to do? I should have told him what I wanted him to do. I told him about my visit to the hospital, and he said that going to the hospital is a little much. I told him the doctor said I am showing signs of heart issues, likely caused by stress. He blew up on me, yelling that I'm causing my own early grave, and that it's my fault for not taking care of myself. With that, he closed himself in the room, leaving me to clean up after dinner alone again. Except, I decided that I wouldn't, so I went on the couch and watched a movie. He came out suddenly friendly and flirty. He tried to lay with me and ask what I was doing. He kept trying to act cute, and when I wasn't showing much response to it, he got angry and stormed off, locking me out of the bedroom. The next morning, I woke up to him slamming around the kitchen and cussing about how I couldn't even properly clean the kitchen. I just went to the bedroom and went back to sleep, if you can call it that, because he kept doing things to keep me awake. He complained later that day about how he was so hungry because I didn't make him breakfast or lunch. I gave myself a break day. I didn't work, didn't focus on the house. I was just a mom and spent time with our baby. I went to the park, to the library, to my in-laws. I tried to talk to her about the heart thing, and she responded with, "Poor husband's name. He's probably going to stress about this." That's when I realized I couldn't do this anymore. I got pizza for dinner and got home right after my husband. He was not happy, and it was different this time. I tried to ignore his obvious tension. He cleaned the kitchen very loudly and was muttering under his breath. I washed up our daughter and put her to bed, trying not to feel anxious when I came out. He started talking very aggressively about how I've been letting myself get lazy and he won't take my lack of effort. A relationship is a two-way street, he said. I started yelling back about how I cook, clean, manage his child, and work at the same time, so how is it that I'm the one that's lazy when he keeps expecting me to do more things too? Things escalated and he started throwing dishes at me. When he ran out of things to throw, he strangled me. Then he left the house and I called the police. My baby was woken up. The neighbors were there because they heard yelling and glass breaking. It was chaos. When he came back, he tried to say I did everything. Even the bruises around my neck were self-inflicted, apparently. I'm still trying to process everything. It all happened so fast. Sometime I wonder what would have happened if I had just sucked it up and didn't rebel. Would our relationship be fine? I have my first therapy session scheduled for next Tuesday, so I guess I'll talk all about it then. My husband is at his mom's now. I'm at my grandmother's for now, and have almost all my stuff out of our apartment. We have a temporary restraining order. Official hearing is tomorrow morning. I'm scared if I'm honest. I haven't seen him since that night. My daughter keeps asking me where Dad is, and I don't know what to tell her. There's my update. I feel so numb to it all. I can probably type much more that happened, but it already feels so long. Plus, I don't want to cry again. Edit. I reread this all, and I sound like a big whiny baby, oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I promise I don't sound like this in person, I also wanted to add a thought. I don't know if I would have called the police and all if I hadn't posted before. I honestly don't know. This is the most scariest thing he's done to me. But he's done plenty of other things before. When I originally posted, it was more of a vent post. All your caring, kind thoughts moved me. It gave me the little push I needed. I only have my little sister and my grandmother. I can't tell my grandmother any of these details because she's too frail and sensitive. My dad was an alcoholic and died while driving under the influence. My mom left us after that for a guy in Russia. I don't know how she's doing, but she used to treat us very poorly, so I don't really care. Point is, thank you all. The responses here are too kind, and I don't even know what to say. Commenter 1, I'm so sorry. Strangling someone is a big red flag and correlates heavily with severe violence and killing your partner. Please be safe. Stay away from your husband, and call a support line for victims of domestic violence. They can help you stay safe. Again, I'm so sorry. None of this is your fault. Commenter 2, hey, I normally don't actually comment on these things too much, but as a literal therapist, I'm begging you to go through with the official court hearing tomorrow and leave this man. I have counseled countless women who convinced themselves that it wasn't that bad for one reason or another. It was that bad. That man could have killed you and had no problem throwing various things at you intending to cause harm. I know this is difficult, and you likely feel terrified at the idea of what comes next. But whatever comes next without him is infinitely better than whatever comes next if you stay with him. I can nearly guarantee that both you and your child deserve better. Good luck, Commenter 3. OMG, this update is terrifying. OP. Please know that victims who experience non-fatal strangulation are 750% more likely to be murdered by the same partner in the future. I am so glad to hear you have gotten your things out and are safe, but stay vigilant. Talk to a DV shelter about how to separate safely. Good luck, Commenter 4, I hope you see this. My sister was in the same situation 3 years ago. Her death anniversary is in a few weeks. Please leave, they don't change. Stories number 4. Entitled Gym Patron tries to shove my daughter out of gym when she comes to get me at end of my shift. Edit. I work for a gym where I'm the lead trainer. A while back, my boss put an age restriction in place forbidding anyone under 20 from coming to the gym to work out because the teenagers beforehand were breaking rules left and right, which made my boss put in the age restriction. Should note that restriction forbids anyone under 20 from using the equipment. Some teens go after school to wait to be picked up if they don't have a car and a designated teen hangout lounge, providing they have proof that a parent has a gym membership, proof being providing parents name, and if parents have membership, they can use the teen lounge. Also, when I say shove, I meant to say stop my daughter and kick her out. Tonight my husband, my twin daughter and son came to pick me up at work because my husband dropped me off earlier, and they were picking me up so we can go to our oldest son's football game. My daughter, who's in 8th grade, said she'd go get me. All my coworkers know my children from my photos I have in my office, and they know my kids aren't rule breakers, having met them before. On her way to my office, my daughter spots me talking to someone I know when a gym patron finishes his workout and sees my daughter, then walks over to her. "Excuse me, kid? Nobody under 20 is allowed here, you need to leave," my daughter says. "My mom's a trainer here, I'm just getting her for my dad, we're picking her up for my brother's football game," guy tells her more louder. "You need to leave, kid." I hear this, and see the guy blocking her from getting by to where I am, and I abruptly end my talk saying I'll talk to the person soon. I tap the guy on the shoulder and asked, "What's the problem?" Guy turns and says, "This kid is..." He takes one look at my daughter and one look at me, and sees our resemblance, and I asked my daughter what was happening, and she explained how the guy was preventing her from going to me. I looked the guy directly at his eyes. "Don't be harassing my daughter, and remember, you're not gym staff. Don't be telling people anything staff will handle." Guy then returned to his workout, and he's a gym regular, so I'll talk to him next. I see him with my boss. Note: I want to clarify that I didn't give my daughter the okay to come get me. My husband allowed her to because he had to talk to take a phone call. Comments. Commenter 1. It's wild for a grown man to think he can come at a little kid like that. Commenter 2. The age restriction, is it for using the equipment or for being in the place itself? The dude had no business coming at a kid like that. Then doubling down even after she explained herself. Even though she didn't have to. Commenter 3. You need to speak to your boss about him being aggressive towards a child. Commenter 4. Patron loses his membership for directly addressing your kid. What he should have done was report the presence of a minor to someone who works there. Then be informed she is only there to collect you. Addressing her directly was rude. Stories number 5. My husband's coworker expected me to film her wedding for free, then dragged my name through his office when I refused. I'm a 29F videographer. I do weddings, small events, and promo videos for local businesses. My husband, 34, works at an architecture firm, and one of his co-workers, I'll call her Rachel, got married on last month Saturday, September 28th. Rachel told me about her wedding early last month. We met each other at AM Office BBQ my husband's firm was hosting. She came over very friendly and said, "Oh my God, I just found out you do wedding videos. You have to do mine. It'll be so nice to have someone I already know behind the camera." I smiled and told her sure. I'd love to send her my rate sheet. My prices are normal for the area. $1,800 for a full-day shoot, editing, and a highlight reel. She smiled, said she'd check it out, and that was it. A week later, she texted me saying, "Wait, I thought since we're basically family through your husband's job, you'd give me a friend discount or maybe do it as a gift." I told her nicely that I don't mix personal or work connections with free jobs. I've seen how messy that gets, especially with people connected to my husband's office. She read it and didn't reply. Days passed and my husband came home from work looking uncomfortable. He said, "Hey, just a heads up that Rachel's been telling people you're doing her wedding video." I was stunned because he knew I'd told me I agreed. I hadn't agreed to anything. I texted her asking why she'd say that, and she replied, "Oh, I just assumed you changed your mind. I've been so stressed, I figured you'd understand." I told her clearly that I wasn't available that weekend, and had already booked another client. She just said, "Okay, but I really hope you reconsider." The wedding day on the last Saturday of September 28th, at 7:10 a.m., my phone started ringing nonstop. It was Rachel. When I finally picked up, she was crying and yelling that her videographer had canceled at the last minute, and she needed me to come through for her. I told her I had another client and couldn't just abandon them. She completely lost it, accusing me of being heartless and ungrateful after she'd always been so nice to me and my husband. I told her this was exactly why I don't mix work and personal connections, and I hung up. I blocked her number right after. My husband did end up going to the wedding for a few hours since it was a coworker event, and he didn't want to make things more awkward at work. He said it was tense, and Rachel barely acknowledged him. This past week, HR called my husband into a meeting. Turns out Rachel emailed them claiming I had agreed to film her wedding and then backed out last minute, causing her to lose precious memories. She even implied that I was somehow representing his firm because we're married. My husband had to explain the whole story to HR, and thankfully they believed him. But it was still embarrassing for both of us. It's shocking that Rachel didn't stop at that. She made a Facebook post that night complaining about unprofessional videographers and tagged my business page. I had to contact Facebook to get it removed. Apparently, people in my husband's office are acting weird around him. Like I'm the stuck-up wife who refused to help. I've worked hard to build my name and reputation, and I'm furious that someone's entitlement could threaten that, all because she didn't want to pay for a service. Some people really think knowing someone equals owing them, TLDR. My husband's coworker told everyone I was filming her wedding even though I never agreed, then tried to destroy my reputation when I refused to do it for free. My husband got dragged into HR over it this past Tuesday. Comments. Commenter 1. Your husband needs to march back into HR and get Rachel's shit sorted. That's outrageous. Reply. Which he just did this morning. Commenter 2. Give him your text messages with her. It seems they're pretty clear. Commenter 3. If I was your husband, I would file a complaint with HR about Rachel's harassment. It's as simple as that. Commenter 4. Yup. And I'd also pay a lawyer a few bucks for a cease and desist, which fully lays out the civil suit you'll file if she doesn't grow up and start acting like an adult. Commenter 5. How about suing Rachel for defamation, slander, libel, and harassment? Update. Hey everyone, I posted a while back about my husband's coworker, Rachel, who expected me to film her wedding for free, then dragged my name through his office and even HR when I refused. I wanted to give a quick update since a few people requested for it. So, Rachel actually apologized. Apparently, After HR looked into everything, and my husband explained the full story with messages to back it up, they made it clear she'd crossed some serious line. This morning, she sent my husband an email owning up to it. She said she realized she'd been unprofessional, that she made assumptions, and that she never should have told anyone I was filming her wedding before I'd agreed. She also admitted that posting about my business on Facebook was out of line, and she'd taken it down. She told my husband she'd clarified things with a few coworkers who'd heard her side of the story too. Honestly, I didn't expect her to apologize at all, so that was surprising. I'm still not thrilled about the damage control we had to do, but I appreciate that she at least took responsibility instead of doubling down. Hopefully, this is the end of it. Thanks again to everyone who backed me up in the original post. Y'all made me feel so much less crazy about standing my ground. Comments. Commenter 1. Someone probably explained to her she could be sued for defamation. Reply, I think so. She just came back to her senses. Commenter 2. She was whacked back into reality. But make no mistake, she's not happy about it. Commenter 3. Yes, OP, do not trust a word this lady says. She is crap, and you should stay away accordingly. Stories number 6. My husband lied about getting laid off. I found out a week ago, but I've only just calmed down enough to be able to talk about it. I'm not ready to share my dirty laundry in public yet, but I need to tell somebody about it. In May, my husband lost his job. He said his entire division had been laid off because their jobs were outsourced. Then last week, I happened to run into my husband's former colleague and his wife while I was out at the shops. From my conversation with his former colleague, it came to light that my husband quit because the company mandated all employees to come into the office 2 or 3 days a week, and my husband wanted to stay remote. I was so humiliated because I expressed sympathy to his former colleague about the layoffs only to find out there wasn't any. When I confronted my husband, he admitted it. He said he didn't think it would be a problem since I was already making more than him. I've been working as much overtime as I can get at the hospital to keep our heads above water. Come to find out, my husband voluntarily left his job and has only been applying for fully remote jobs instead of looking for any job he could get. He admitted all of it. If his decision just affected him, it would be one thing. We have a 6-year-old. I've been feeling guilt for months about being away from her so much because I've been working as many shifts in the A&E as I can get. My husband says he is sorry, but something has broken between us, and our marriage cannot be fixed. I spent months bottling my feelings about him not working and doing less chores because I thought he was depressed about losing his job. He kept saying how guilty he felt about not working, and I didn't want to add to it. I kept thinking as soon as he found another job, everything would be fine. Meanwhile, he's been having a holiday sitting at home while I ran myself ragged keeping us above water. I am moving out of our flat as soon as I can find another place for myself and my daughter. I don't care what my husband has to say. Every time he apologizes, it just makes me angrier. I don't want to tell anyone until I find somewhere else to live. But I needed to get this out before my anger consumes me, and I lose it in front of my daughter. I didn't even know it was possible to be this angry. Comments. Commenter 1. Take care of yourself and your mental health. Fuck off, future ex-commenter 2. He isn't paying the bills. Kick his ass out. Reply. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. Since his name is on the lease, there is nothing I can do to make him leave. I've sought legal advice on this matter, and he has as much legal right to our flat as I do. Commenter 3, don't question yourself. It is intentional. He's an adult, and he knows what he is doing. Give him a timeline. If he doesn't have a job in 30 days, tell him you want a divorce because he is not being a partner. He is leeching off of you, and he doesn't have any shame about it. Get serious with him and put your foot down. You deserve better, and if he can't be better for you and your child, then give him the same back. No more free rides. Love yourself first and don't drag yourself through hell just so he doesn't have to help out. Reply, as I mentioned in my post, my marriage is over. Even if he got a job tomorrow, and even if he became the primary earner for the first time in our marriage, I would still leave him. There is nothing he can do to fix this. Commenter 4, this is a major issue. When I lost my job, my wife, who had just given birth about 6 months before, found a job literally that day at a warehouse. I found a new job less than 6 weeks later, but she was determined to help however she could to make sure our new family made it. Your husband is being shamefully self-centered, and if he doesn't see that you need to sit down and talk to him until he does, I'd be fails to see it. You have to talk about what that means for your future together. I'd be very pissed myself. Reply. I've already told him that there is no future for us because he broke something in our marriage. I don't want to talk to him. Every time he talks about it or apologizes, it just makes me angrier. Stories number 7. Aita for refusing to help my parents support the bunch of kids they took in. To start with, I'm 17 and my parents' only bio kid. They never had a lot and they're not super hardworking either. They get fired from jobs a lot because they call out a few times a month. We were homeless before. My parents even got evicted for not paying rent in the past. My mom's family enablers of them. My dad's parents live in another state and are no contact with my parents, but we talk and they send me money every month to help me get by. This is relevant later. When I was 10, my parents took in mom's sister's kids and her boyfriend's kids. That's 2 bio cousins and 2 not cousins. It was all done privately, so there wasn't really a social worker involved. Just lawyers and my mom's parents paid for that. It was meant to be a short-term thing, but they're still here. When I was 12, my dad agreed to take in his friend's 2 kids. Again, it was done privately, and they didn't have a social worker involved. It was just a lawyer, and my parents sold stuff to pay for those legal fees, because we didn't have the money. Our house is only 3 bedrooms, so it was really tight and money was tight. My dad's parents wanted to take me in, but my parents were like, no way, and told them to fuck off and leave me where I was with my family. My grandparents looked into fighting for custody, but the lawyers they talked to said that was not going to happen. So they started sending me money secretly. It was a little then, and it increased in the last year. When I was 14, my parents took in another kid who's the kid of someone mom used to know, or maybe it was someone her sister knew. IDK, I gave up trying to follow, but that was another kid added to the mix. My parents don't get child support, they don't get help from any of the actual parents, and my parents still treat their jobs like optional chores when they don't want to go. My dad was fired 4 months ago, and he only found a new job a week ago. I get money every month from my grandparents to cover stuff I might need for school or just to stay sane. It also covers better food than my parents can provide. What I mean by that is I can buy school lunch and get a hot dinner somewhere, instead of sandwiches most days for lunch and dinner. I work part-time too. I save some of the money from my grandparents and what I earn. My parents found out about the money after listening to a conversation I had with Grandpa a couple of months ago. Since then, they have asked me to help provide for the family. They say I have siblings who would love to get extra stuff, and how they would love for us all to be more secure. I got so mad I told my parents to fuck off and provide for the kids they took in themselves because that was their choice, not mine, and I'm not picking up their slack. My parents acted surprised that I would feel that way. They said they thought I loved my siblings. I wanted to ask if they were insane, but figured they'd think I was the insane one. They really try the guilt trips with me because I'm not helping, including using the whole "the kids are innocent" shit. And the kids being innocent is why I feel a little bad. I just don't want to be responsible for them. They should be with people who can afford them emo. But there's nothing I can do about it. CPS was called when me and some of the kids showed up to school looking rough, and like we didn't eat enough, and my parents lied about the kids being there all the time, and I wasn't believed when I told the truth. Comments Commenter 1 NTA, certainly not. Start making escape plans for age 18. Get out, see if grandparents will have you. Go out of state. Get some distance. Commenter 2 NTA, certainly not. Start making escape plans for age 18. Get out, see if grandparents will have you. Go out of state. Get some distance. Commenter 3 NTA. I'd speak to a counselor at your school. Your parents are neglecting you and the other kids. They may even look into these adoptions. You are 17, so I'm not sure if the laws are where you live, but maybe you can leave and go to your grandparents. By the time your parents get any money together to get you back, you'll be 18. Make sure you have all your important documents and paperwork. Check your credit score and report to make sure your parents haven't taken out credit cards or loans in your name. Commenter 4 NTA, I'm sorry those kids are that situation, but it's not your responsibility. I would be clear to your parents that they are neither your kids nor your siblings. You will, I assume, be graduating in May, June? Good. You can leave then. There obviously won't be any help paying for school, so you need to start planning now. Living with your grandparents and attending a community college and working part full-time might be a good place to start. If you have any way of working now, do so and save every penny. Don't give your parents a dime. You'll need that money to get out. I mean, if you can get a job without them knowing, that's the best option. Stories number 8. Aita because my GF wants to take her ex-husband to her work Christmas party. I've 35M been with my GF 44F for 9 months. When we met, she was open about the fact that she had fully separated from her ex, and that they would be starting official divorce proceedings. Those started around 1 month ago, and it's basically in the early stages. Yesterday we were talking about work Christmas parties, and she told me her workplace are currently running a poll where the options were, go alone, go with your partner, or say you're not going. When I asked what she was thinking of doing, she said she needed to talk to her ex-husband about it because she was going to take him if that option won, because she didn't want to go and sit alone while everyone else was there with their spouses. Obviously, I reacted pretty badly to this. She said she couldn't bring me because nobody there knew about me, us. She had started her job about 3 months before we met, and everyone there was basically under the impression that she was still married, as that's how things had been when she joined. And she didn't like lots of people knowing her business, separating, divorce, etc., so she just went along with it. She said that bringing me would therefore be weird, and she temporarily wanted everything to still look normal by bringing him. I questioned why she would need to go and pretend to essentially strangers. She could easily just go on her own instead. And she told me I didn't understand how difficult it was for her. She told me I was making it all about me by asking to be prioritized in my eyes. It was just consideration. That I was acting irrational and being jealous, and that she didn't have to run any of her decisions by me. She then started crying, hung up on me, and texted me to say she wanted space for a few hours. But she hasn't been in touch since, and that was 24 hours ago. I haven't reached out because I feel I haven't done anything wrong. I feel really horrible about her wanting to take him along so easily, because it feels like she has not considered my feelings about it. We didn't have a conversation about it, she just told me, and so to me it feels a little disrespectful to me and our relationship. I know we've not been together long either, so maybe I have no right to be involved in her decisions. But I would expect to at least have a convo about that, because that decision does directly affect us. I also don't understand why she needs to go and pretend to people she doesn't really know, and why she wouldn't have just been able to take that opportunity to explain, but I don't know if I am just being selfish, like she said. Aita, I've never been married, so I don't know if I have just majorly downplayed everything and been inconsiderate. Honestly appreciate everyone's advice and opinions. Update. Aita, because my GF wants to take her ex-husband to her work Christmas party? Firstly, I want to thank everyone for their responses. I never expected to get so many, and I read all of them, yeah. Even the painful ones. There were some great pieces of advice, perspective, and wisdom, so I really appreciate everyone's comments. Second, there were a lot of repeating questions that I didn't answer in the post because it all moved way too quick. So I wanted to answer those now in case those commenters were still wondering. Who filed, and did I definitely know they were divorcing? My ex-GF had always made out that she had begun proceedings. Honestly, I don't know for definite that they are, but she did have a few meetings with a lawyer when I was with her. And she'd moved into her own place in March. So to me all the signs pointed that way, but of course it may not have been the truth. Why would her ex-not-ex-husband agree to go? This is a solid question, and if I'm honest from what she told me about him, I genuinely don't think he would have. One of the reasons she gave for their marriage collapsing was that he became more antisocial and introverted and stopped wanting to go anywhere and do anything with her. I think that's why it felt worse, because if she was telling the truth about him, she was willing to take someone who had previously on multiple occasions said he didn't want go and do things. If I'm honest on reflection, I think that this is an example of her refusing to face reality and clinging on to her old identity. Thank you so much to the commenters who gave me this insight. She just thought he'd agree, because previously he probably always begrudgingly has, and she hadn't appreciated or logically thought about the weight of what she would be asking. If it was me, I certainly would have said no, like everyone else said they would too. So, on to the update. We split up. Thanks to all the perspectives here, I text her to say that I hoped she was okay, and that the space had given me time to reflect on the situation. I explained that I could see things from her perspective and what her intentions might have been, but that I was hurt, that she hadn't felt she could communicate that with me first, as if she had. The outcome might have been different, and we could have worked something out. However, I felt her behavior in calling me selfish, and the not running decisions by me, etc., was disrespectful and inconsiderate, and that was now my major problem in moving forward with the relationship. She replied to say that if I was going to just bring another source of pain and stress to her life, then I may as well go, because I was still making the whole thing about me and my feelings and not appreciating her not breaking apart at the seams while her life did. So she'd be taking more space until I decided what I wanted. Thanks to all of you, I realized how invalidating and, again, manipulative that was. So I told her we'd make the space permanent and wished her all the best. Her response was just okay. and asking if she could still use my Netflix password. So, I changed it. Then she texted again a little while later asking why I'd changed it, and could I put it back because it had locked her out of a show she was watching. So I had a good laugh to myself about the irony of decision-making without running it by her, and didn't respond. On to better things, and a definite lesson learned for the future in seeing the red flags. I also just wanted to thank the commenters who have lived it and shared their experiences. It did make it easier to understand what her motivations, intentions might have been for carrying on as normal. As I said in a previous comment, she had had a bad experience with a previous job and was out of work for some time in between. I also knew she was nervy about this one as it was beginning to ramp up. I can see why she may have obfuscated the truth, so that her employers didn't think she had any personal distractions which might have stopped her being at her sharpest. Where we live, you need 2 years to be safe from being fired, and she was only a year in. I can totally get why someone suddenly on their own with individual finances, plus lawyer fees and divorce settlement, if true fees, would not want to risk their income suddenly being shut off or being back out of work for a long period. Having said that, I also agree with everyone that there's a difference between obfuscating the truth and showing up with your ex and essentially playing pretend when there was the option of going alone and just making an excuse. For them, though, I guess I can also see why maybe that would feel awkward or uncomfortable, being surrounded by others. End of the day, if she had come to me and explained, maybe we could have worked it out. However, she didn't, and everyone was right that her behavior and attitude towards me, the situation was incredibly disrespectful and problematic in the end. Commenter 1, honestly really glad to see you split. Like, there was just no good answer for what she was doing. And her reactions to you made it very clear that she had no business being in a relationship right now. She wants a roll of duct tape to hold her together, not a partner. Commenter 2. The audacity of her to ask for your Netflix password had me scoffing. You really dodged a bullet. She was still insisting that you were jealous, immature, and selfish. No wonder her marriage didn't last, and I bet everything that her ex was the one to ask for separation and later on divorce. Just from how she described him and the way he goes along with what she wants, leads me to believe that she pushed for him to do things he didn't want to do, just to keep up images. Commenter 3. I know too late now, but I would have responded about changing your Netflix password was due to you speaking to your ex, and they wanted to watch a show, and you didn't want to make it awkward with her. Commenter 4. Thank you for the update. You went above and beyond to understand both sides to make the right decision for yourself. I hope you find someone who you can be happy and live life to the fullest with. The Netflix password situation sounds like the cherry on top of it all. I also hope that she learns something as well from this, and finds a way to heal, as well as have a good life of her own. For no one is perfect, and we all make mistakes. Yet we all want love, understanding, and to be accepted. Stories number 9. Me, 23F, with my half-sister. 24F. Wants to transfer to my college, but cannot live on her own. I don't want to be her keeper. My half-sister, Ariel, and I grew up in different home. I spent a lot of time with my dad, but I never spent the night. If I did, we shared a room. Ariel had bunk beds because she used the bars around them to get herself into the wheelchair. It was just easier. Plus, if she had friends over, it was always her room. My mom and dad lived in the same town anyways, so there was really no reason to stay over. I also never really got on with Ariel, or her brother Sebastian, 22M. I lost a lot of respect for my dad, 50 Malorns, when he cheated on my mom, while he has been faithful to Claudette, 45F. I don't think what he did was right, but I love him and have tried to stay out of marriage problems between my mom, 46F, and dad. There has also been resentment because Claudette's 2 children are handicapped. Sebastian was born with a spinal problem, but surgery has helped him out a lot. He won't be a 5-star athlete, but he hikes and does a lot of active stuff. He just gets tired easily, and some days needs a cane. My sister is confined to a wheelchair and is unable to do a lot of stuff for herself. She has been complaining on her FB for years about wanting to move out, but she never does anything to make this happen. She will get help, but then whines so much her parents will just stop making her do anything about it. Well, Claudette called me yesterday and asked if I would be willing to live with Ariel. I told her I was in a single and was pretty happy with my location. Claudette told me to share a room with Ariel and everything would work out. She tried to guilt me by saying I had a lot of blessings in my life. It was time to give back. My dad doesn't pay for my education, and buying me groceries 2 a year doesn't mean you paid my way or are a blessing in my life. It makes me angry because Claudette has always treated me like my good fortune should have belonged to Ariel. Just because she can't walk doesn't mean I owe it to her to be her caregiver. I am not sure how to tell them no, because it will likely end with my father not talking to me again for 6 months. TLDR, how to tell my half-sister and stepmother I don't want to live with her. Relevant comments, commenter 1, because it will likely end with my father not talking to me again for 6 months. Then so be it. This sounds to me like they've decided you're the mechanism by which they get your half-sister to finally be independent, not their problem. Don't be manipulated into that. Commenter 2. I'll echo that. Just today there was a post about a college guy with a wheelchair-bound roommate who came to rely on him as a caregiver. It's an exhausting role that was thrust upon him, and now he can't get out of it without looking like the bad guy. Do not put yourself in a position to have to do the same. The way it's being sold to you is what? What could they think you possibly have to gain out of their suggested arrangement? She sounds neither likable nor motivated, and that's what you'd be saddled with. In a single, you're guaranteed to clash over space and responsibilities. All the little things her folks do for her now, she would expect from you. None of this sounds good. Avoiding it at all costs would be worth foregoing a few phone calls. If that's what it would take, talk to your dad. Let him know that the arrangement won't work. But there are likely some resources available for her to get her own place. Maybe you could help research them. Reply. I don't want Ariel in the same city as me. Which I know sounds really petty, because even in the same college, she would expect me to give her rides places. I don't really like her that much as a person. She has become extremely entitled. She called my mom a useless bitch one time, when I got help paying for a used car. Ariel can't drive. Why would she care I had a car? I understand people are usually 100% into family, but it feels like they just tolerated me until I was useful, and then would abandon me in a second. Commenter 3. So, your dad cheats on your mom, and the other woman is now calling you to watch her daughter? Hasn't she done enough damage to your family? Reply. Claudette thinks that my mom was the one who drove my dad away, which is BS. But yeah, the other woman is calling to ruin my life too. Commenter 4. I'm sort of confused as to how your dad cheated on your mom, resulting in an older half-sibling. Was he cheating before and after you were born with the same woman? Reply. You got it. He has been cheating the whole time he was with my mom, but Claudette was just the last woman. He decided he wanted to raise his firstborn instead of stay married. Update. Here is a small update. Hopefully the last. I wrote an email to Dad and Claudette explaining my side of the story and why I didn't think it would work out. Email. I am unable to take Ariel on as a roommate due to my increase in work hours and my internship this summer. I am doing well financially, so I don't need the additional rent I know Ariel would insist on paying. Here is the number for Helpful Handicapped Student Center. You will want to talk to Amelia H. She will put you in touch with the right people. Best wishes. Sophie. Claudette must have shown Ariel the email, because I got a call 2 hours after sending it. Ariel had her rebuttal worked out. I will be more than happy to wait at campus for you to get off work. Your mom is really helping you out, so you should extend the same hand to me. You should sacrifice for family. We shared a room before. It would be embarrassing to be a handicapped student on campus. She wanted to be independent. Claudette has been really mean to me lately, saying I am not normal. I just want to prove her wrong. You understand, right? I thought we were closer. It is you are healthy and I am not. I ended up simply telling her. My mom has asked me to pay her back for the apartment when I have the chance. I do not want to share a room with you, and I do not feel we are close at all. On top of that, your mom ruined my parents' relationship, so I am not going to do her any favors. Ariel hung up. A bit later, I got a Claudette-flavored email from my father. I thought I raised you better than that. With everything we have done for you, I am hurt you won't consider helping out your handicapped sister. What happens when we die? Will you just leave Ariel and Sebastian all alone? We know you will be the successful child, and we hope in our old age you will remember who helped you become the woman you are today. I replied telling them no. I got a text from Claudette telling me to lose her number and that I was blocked. I haven't heard from my dad. I am not sure if I will. I am just kind of glad it happened. I have removed everyone from my FB and have their numbers tagged to go to voicemail. I am tired of playing games like this. TLDR. I got an email from Claudette. I told her no. She told me to lose her number. Thank you for your support, everyone. I feel much better now. I don't have the emotional stability to be around Claudette and Ariel for long periods of time. I also realized I need to stop fearing my dad's hissy fits. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Well, whoever said that they're grooming you to deal with her when they're dead hit the nail on the head. Reply, yup, which isn't happening. Commenter 2. What is revealing is Claudette's reaction. As soon as you weren't going to be manipulated by her, the facade fell away, and she revealed that she is a mean stepmother, only interested in how you can be made to help her, and the one she loves. Commenter 3. Tough situation, but there's not a lot else you can do. The whole nonsense about what will happen when we're gone is silly. Sebastian and Claudia will very likely get life insurance, in addition to any disability for which they qualify. They won't be helpless or anything. It's one thing for them to ask you to do this favor, but it's another thing for them to get upset when you choose not to comply. Reply, Sebastian is pretty mobile, though he does have some hard days. He has pretty much cut out his mom and sister and goes to school several states away. Commenter 4. Sounds like he came to the same conclusion you did, that they are shit people. Commenter 5. Have you talked to Sebastian about the situation? I'd be surprised if he didn't have to deal with a similar conversation with his mother. Reply, not yet. He calls me. We have a system. Commenter 6. Good. OP. You should have told Claudette you would gladly lose her phone number. Like fucking seriously. Dad cheats on your mom, and your dad plus new wife are like, take care of our children when we are old. WTF kind of responsibility they want to impose you? Commenter 7. Yeah, I found the whole situation crazy too. The entitlement is astonishing. Reply, you have no idea. The tone of voice used cannot be fully explained. It's like speaking to some sort of alien creature. Commenter 8. I think you did exactly the right thing. I'm sorry they pressed you so hard. I'm still not sure why you blame Claudette and not your dad for your parents' divorce, but it might just be because she sounds like a mega bitch. I don't know. Reply, I have a lot of divorced friends. Their stepmoms are really cool and they go to lunch, shopping, movies. The stepmoms are like cool aunts. Claudette made the divorce worse, I think, without her. The divorce would have happened anyways, but I might have had a real relationship with my dad. I blame her for instigating fights, trash-talking my mom, and making my dad into a shittier person. Commenter 9. Just wanted to say I feel your pain. And it really sucks having a stepmother who is horrible. Such a cliché. Who would want to be the wicked stepmother? Reply, Claudette really took to her role. Very method. Stories number 10. Aita. I left my boyfriend because his brother kept sexting me. My boyfriend 26M and I 27F are in a relationship for almost 5 years. His brother 30M, whom my boyfriend worships, started texting me around 2 years into our relationship. He was curious about our sex life and would often ask uncomfortable questions. But I let it slide because I didn't want any drama. And I know if I told my boyfriend he would not take it seriously. After a year or so, I had a fight with my boyfriend because his brother posted a picture where my boyfriend is literally letting his brother's close female friend sit in his lap. I lost my shit and blocked my boyfriend. Then I asked his brother why he posted this picture. And we had a fight as he said to me that he doesn't think this is worth fighting over. He kept praising me and said any guy would be lucky to have me. So why would his brother want to leave me? And asked me to leave him if I had any doubt. And also, I can get any man. So why I chose a guy like his brother who is unemployed when I earn more than his family combined. I didn't want to listen to this prick, so I ignored rest of his messages, and after a month or so my boyfriend and I made up and he said how sorry he was and that the woman in the picture was deliberately trying to be close to him and his brother was helping her to get closer to him as she finds my boyfriend cute. So I told him what his brother has said to me and how he said I should leave him. But he ended up blaming me for texting his brother and didn't want to listen to anything against his brother, which left me speechless. And I was very upset for 2-3 months, but eventually I let it slide. Now his brother is sending me inappropriate messages like, I'm too hot for his little brother, and only he can give me the satisfaction I deserve, among other nasty things. So now, I'm totally sick to my stomach, so I sent the screenshots to my boyfriend and asked him not to contact me ever, and blocked both of them. So my now ex is trying to reach out to my friends and saying what I did is totally unfair to him. So, Aita for leaving him? Commenter 1 NTH. Block them both and move on. Commenter 2 NTA. 2 immature man-children who enable each other. Block them both and move on. Commenter 3 NTA. Your boyfriend is an idiot, and the brother is a scumbag. Get away from that situation. Your soon-to-be ex-boyfriend's future is finding his future girlfriend in bed with his brother. That's when he might actually grow a spine and stop idolizing his brother. Commenter 4 NTA. I wish my brother's now wife had fit off like this. The first time we met, she joined me to walk the dog. Had a good conversation. When I got back to the house, she looks at me and says, "Why didn't you kiss me?" Then they move in together and she starts send me nude pics of herself. Once I made it clear that I wasn't interested because she was literally living with my brother. She told him that I sexually assaulted her. When I showed him the photos and our conversation history where I kept telling her no, etc., he said, "Oh yeah, I knew about that." She thought it was funny. This was after she had him so riled up that he stormed into my house and threatened me with physical violence if I ever touched her again. And the family wonders why I want nothing to do with her. Sigh. Stories number 11. I can't believe the story is true. I am so very tired. Last night around 10 p.m. my husband says he needs to swing by Walmart before they close because he needs medical scissors to take care of his ostomy. He promised to grab some food because it was late and we hadn't eaten dinner yet. 20 minutes later, I'm jamming out in my car and this sensation creeps over me. Like the world is about to end. I pull up and look at my husband's location on GPS and watch as he's in the same spot for a really long time. I call back to back and he doesn't answer. Finally, I get a text message from him. He says I forgot to scan a pack of socks at self-checkout, and they just want to go through all my bags and check things out. They said they would be right back with his receipt. Then I see 2 police cars pull in, and that thick sense of dread washes over me. I start spam texting him, but he never reads them. The store is closed at this point, and every fiber of my being wants to run into that store. I don't know what I thought was happening, but my intuition was in hyperdrive. I'm parked by the one set of doors, the cops are at the other. I see them walking my husband out and he turns to look my direction and screams, "Hey!" Without a thought, I get in the driver's seat and haul ass to where they are. I said, "All this over a $12 pack of socks?" They have the most smug look I've ever seen on their face. And one of them shows me what's in his hand, and it's my husband's itty-bitty gun. It's a little collectible he likes to carry because it doesn't pull down his pants. I breathe so much relief and tell them he has a concealed permit. That's when they inform us that in our state, when you have a weapon on your person and commit a crime, it instantly turns whatever that crime is into a felony. I was beyond annoyed at this point. It wasn't like he shoved the socks down his pants and tried to run out the door. Here's this receipt for $100 spent there, and loss prevention called the cops over a missed scanned item. I demand they give me his belongings, and they're hesitant. Finally, my husband tells them to, and they listen. I open up his bag and show them what I already knew was in there, the fattest stack of cash. We own a very successful business that just so happens to be cash-heavy. $680 BTW, and that's after he spent $100. I said, why would he need to steal? He has an ostomy, as I mentioned. They take him to the hospital where he spent 2 hours because the country jail refused to take him in with an ostomy, unless it was a fresh one. The nurses at the hospital are teasing him when they think he can't hear. Oh! Whoever shares a cell with him is going to be awfully upset at how bad he smells. They replace his wafer and forget a crucial step. A wax ring under his wafer. If you know ostomies, you know that bitch is going to leak. No one helps him or fixes it. I find out and file a grievance to the ADA. They're saying it takes 5 days to address issues like that. Great. I'm stressing about how quickly his skin is going to break down. The jail is overcrowded, meaning infection will come next. There's nothing to do but to collect all the cash I can and wait for bail to get set and hope it's enough. Arraignment isn't until the next day at 2 p.m. Him by Zoom and I show up in person. I pull up the jail roster to take a LOL at his charges: theft 3 and burglary in the 1st degree, while in possession of a deadly weapon. I'm sitting in the courtroom, one of the only people who showed up in person, but if I could just get a minute or two with the public defender, maybe if I tell him about what happened he'll be able to fix it. No chance comes. My ass is sitting in the chair for 2 hours, and whenever an inmate comes up they waive their reading of the charges, but I'm nosy so I look them all up. Those were all some evil dudes. Manslaughter, murder, attempted murder paired with domestic violence. They start wrapping up for the day and I'm pissed. It's Friday. They're going to hold him the whole weekend for nothing? I pull up the jail roster hoping I would see bail or something, and I can't find his name. Go into the court website and I see it. The prosecution dropped the case without saying a word to me. So I call up the jail. They tell me he won't be let out until 7 p.m., 3 hours from now. My husband called me at 5 p.m. and I'm like, can you believe they dropped the charges? He had no idea. He asked the guards, they confirmed. Minutes were crawling, then he had a stroke of genius and tore part of his wafer off. Went to the guards and said it was leaking. He was in the car 30 minutes later. This entire situation has me beyond appalled. I don't understand why it ever escalated the way it did. I'm not sure I would believe it if I didn't live it. Be careful, guys, and if Walmart asks you to come with them, don't. Comments. Commenter 1. I've heard of places that keep recordings of individuals' thefts. Wait for it to reach a certain dollar amount and then detain and press charges. I think Walmart just detains for any theft at any time. The machines ask if you want an emailed or paper copy of the receipt. I've read of people detained for not having the paper copy. Your husband went through it, but thankfully, he's out and has no charges. He's a lot more fortunate than others. Commenter 2. I feel your frustration and can relate to your husband's experience. Years ago, I was at Target and realized the cashier must have missed my hair products, mousse and a comb, and I went back inside to pay for them. While waiting for someone to come after my explanation, turn around, the manager is walking with police towards me. The officer asks me to follow him. I was shocked. They take me to a small room. Many people were there. I tell the cop my story, got into the car, looked at my receipt, and noticed some items missing on the receipt. Checked bag. Items were in the bag. I came back to pay for them. The officer asked if I told this to the lady. He was pointing at. I said yes. The officer asked her position. She was a manager. The officer made a face at them and he lit them up. I remember he did this sigh, opens the door and begins to talk loudly and direct. He asked them if they knew how to do their job, made comments about wasting resources on a matter that a customer was trying to resolve, told them to learn their jobs or quit, tells me to file a complaint, directs them to give me corporate number. They give it to me. He asks which one of them was going to ring up my items so I can go. He walks out calling them stupid and tells them to get some training, apologizes to me and tells me to have a nice day. I like to think he did that to vindicate me from the embarrassment of other customers seeing me being walked back. It was a small victory for me. Some people aren't meant to hold positions that could impact other people's lives and livelihood. That manager was one of them. Whoever accused your husband shouldn't be in that position either. I hope your husband is doing better. Smart thinking on the bag to get released early. Commenter 3. This is why I refuse to use any of the self-checkout lanes. If they don't have a cashier lane open, I would leave the cart and walk out. Commenter 4. Am I the only one who's deeply disturbed that everyone is cool with your husband walking around with a gun? Stories number 12. My fiance's ex-wife has cancer. He's moved in with her and postponed our wedding. Max and I dated for 2 years and have been engaged for 9 months. With the wedding date set for early January, we have a healthy, honest relationship, and I've never had any reason to doubt him. He and Caroline were high school sweethearts who married very young. They were both 22, right out of college. They divorced after 2 years. Max told me that they got married too quickly and didn't realize how different their relationship would be in the real world. When they were both working full-time jobs and struggling to pay the rent. They split up on good terms, but didn't keep in touch. He remained in our home city, while she pursued a modeling career and began traveling extensively. 3 months ago, Caroline contacted Max over Facebook out of the blue, saying she was in town and wanted to meet for coffee. He agreed, over coffee. She told him that she had recently been diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. Her odds of survival were low, but she was determined to fight it through surgery and chemo. She said that all she wanted was for Max to be by her side throughout her treatment. Caroline's parents died shortly after she married Max. She has no siblings, and the rest of her family lives overseas. She described Max as the closest thing to family she has left. I absolutely sympathize with Caroline. The next day, Max had her over to our apartment and she was completely lovely, clearly trying very hard to be optimistic even in the face of her life potentially ending before she turns 30. I feel terrible for her and for the situation that she's in, and I fully supported Max being there for her. Her first surgery was later that month. Max flew across the country. We live on the East Coast. She's on the West, and checked into a hotel a few minutes from her apartment. He's a writer, so working from his laptop is no issue. We spoke on the phone or on Skype almost every day for the 2 weeks he was over there. Caroline had her surgery at the beginning of June. Unfortunately, it was not entirely successful. Her doctors moved to the next method, chemo, Max came home after her surgery to tell me this. He explained that Caroline's treatment plan was set to begin in July and end in late January. It would be an incredibly difficult time period for her, and she wanted him with her at all times. We can't afford to pay for a hotel until January. So he moved into her apartment, sleeping on her sofa. He's been there for the past month, and we continue to Skype, though only a couple times a week now. When we spoke yesterday, Max gently told me that based on Caroline's condition, he wouldn't feel right leaving her so close to the end of her treatment. He'd like for us to postpone the wedding until February, at the very least, so that he can stay with her until her treatment is over. I'm so conflicted. I feel awful for resenting Caroline at all. She has cancer. She's suffering immensely, but the resentment is still there. I resent her for needing Max constantly holding her hand, as though she has absolutely no friends of her own. I resent Max, too, for agreeing to this situation. We won't be seeing each other in person for months now. On top of our wedding being postponed, I don't know what to do. I have no idea how I'm supposed to feel. Right now I'm just full of anger and guilt, and I don't know how to explain it to anyone else in my life. TLDR, fiancé has moved in with his ex-wife to support her during chemo, postponing our wedding as a result. Am I wrong to feel resentful? Is there a better way of handling this? Edit. Everyone seems to be in agreement that this is a completely inappropriate, if incredibly sad situation that Max isn't handling very well. I'll speak to him either tonight or tomorrow, whenever we Skype next, and tell him in no uncertain terms that I want him to come home. From there we can decide what to do, since I don't want to leave Caroline high and dry, but him living there until February is out of the question. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. You have the right to resent Max. He picked his ex-wife over his fiancée. He may feel like he has a responsibility to her, but he has a responsibility to his future wife. He is asking you to put your life on hold for his ex-wife. You absolutely have the right to feel angry about this. Can you see yourself marrying him after this? OP, honestly, I don't know. Part of me feels like I should admire him, as in, oh, look at how selfless he's being for her. But the other part is thinking, but what about me? I want him to come home. But am I really going to demand that he leave his dying ex-wife alone? Before he left, he said, we've got our whole lives to spend together. She might only have a year. Commenter 2. He's intending on living with his ex until February. And you are to do what? Just wait? No. Your resentment and discomfort is not wrong. I feel intense sympathy for her, for your partner. Absolutely. Death is a terrifying cold thing, but he's supposed to be with you. It was not her right to ask him to be with her as a husband is through this horror. Did she ask you? My fear is okay. So February comes. Her chemo's done. Now she's weak and miserable from chemo. Is he going to leave her then, feeling like that? He should not have asked you over Skype. He should have been there in person. When is the next time you are supposed to see him? Reply, we're not in a bad place financially, but we just couldn't afford a plane ticket every month. We've been trying to save up to buy a house after the wedding, not to mention the cost of the wedding itself. So to answer your question, end of January or early February, that's when I'll be seeing him in person. According to his plan, commenter 2. So just before the wedding? He expects to spend all this time away from you and then just marry you, without you getting any warming up time to get to remember what it's like to be close to him, without him getting any cooling down time after having lived like a husband with this other woman for most of a year. That would be entirely unacceptable to me. OP. I can't figure out a way to phrase this delicately, so I hope that you will forgive me my bluntness. If this relationship ends, are you going to be financially okay? The emotional stuff is one thing. This has to be incredibly difficult. And I admire your composure, but just in terms of strictly physical, if he says, I'm old enough to love her the way I wanted to when we were younger, and give up on marrying you, are you going to be able to make it? I hope that you're saving something aside for yourself. Something not in the joint account, if there is one. Reply, trust me. I'm feeling far from composed right now, but thank you. If we're looking at the absolute worst-case scenario, the relationship ending, then the money that we've saved for the wedding and the house could be split between us. That's the only money we've got in a joint account right now. Otherwise, we keep individual accounts, so I should have enough to remain on my feet if I end up on my own. I really hope it doesn't come to that. Commenter 3. I feel horribly crass saying this, but I can't imagine them living together, as former lovers, near the possible end of her life, and them not sleeping together at some point. Admittedly, she'll be in an awful physical state, but it's such an emotionally charged situation that it's highly likely It might be a good idea to schedule a couple sessions with an experienced relationship and grief counselor because it's an unusual problem. And if handled inappropriately, it could end your relationship. Edit changed marriage to relationship reply. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't thought that, but I hated myself for even considering it. Max has never given me a reason to doubt him, and Caroline's intentions seemed innocent, but I have no idea what state she's in now. The only time I met her was back when she visited our apartment. Commenter 4. I think all of you painting Caroline as if she did something wrong or stupid. Max deserves 100% of the blame. Caroline is allowed to ask whoever she wants, whatever she wants to ask them. Max is allowed to say, "No, ex-wife. I won't leave my wife-to-be for you. Not now, not ever, and not face any judgment." Because what an absurd thing that is to do, OP. I don't know how you can possibly recover from this one. You are not selfish to leave this relationship. You are not selfish to tell him he comes home right now, or it's over. You're not selfish to resent him or her for what they've put on you. But you should make sure you understand that he is 100% to blame for this. He, at every moment along this path, should have taken a look around and realized he was engaged to you, not her. And it is not his fault that she has no one closer than him. Also, he's literally living with his ex-wife. Can you imagine any circumstance where a guy leaves his fiancée to live with his ex-wife and they aren't, at the very least, cuddling and extremely emotionally intimate? I'd be done with him if I was you. What an obscenely selfish man. Reply, wow, I needed to read that, you're right. Seeing so many people in agreement that Max and Caroline, though mostly Max are being selfish, has decided me. I'll speak to him tonight or tomorrow and give an ultimatum. Either he comes home, or we need to rethink our relationship. Update. My 26F fiancé's 28M ex-wife 28F has cancer. He's moved in with her and postponed our wedding. First off, thank you all so much for your advice and words of support. I'm sorry that I couldn't reply to every comment, reply, or PM that I got, but I woke up to a locked post and over 100 unread messages. I promise, I did read through every one of them. Each perspective was incredibly helpful and made me look at the situation in a completely different way. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. I spoke to Max this morning. I told him that as terrible as I feel for Caroline, I don't want him living over there until February. I suggested that we brainstorm some sort of schedule that allowed him to continue visiting her, even postponing our honeymoon and using that money to fund his plane tickets. Several commenters brought up her moving over here for treatment, so I mentioned that as well, offering up our spare bedroom. I emphasized that I didn't fault him for wanting to help an old loved one in what could be her final days, but that I couldn't help but feel marginalized, especially so close to our wedding. Max didn't speak very much, just listened while I rambled on. When I couldn't think of anything else to add, I asked him to please say something, so he told me the truth. Caroline was never stage 4. She was stage 2. He assured me that the rest of his story is true. Caroline asking him to be with her, the initial surgery being unsuccessful, her chemo treatment plan, etc. But apparently her chances of survival are far greater than he led me to believe. Max said he lied because he felt it was the only way I could understand his need to be with her. He thought that if her situation seemed less dire than literal life or death, I wouldn't agree to him essentially moving across the country for her. He admitted to telling her that our wedding had been postponed to next August, giving her the impression that him being away until February would be no problem. He has also been the one insisting on remaining by her side. After her surgery, she had given him permission to return home, saying that it wouldn't be fair to pressure him into living with her throughout her entire chemo treatment. As much as she would have liked him there, he refused to leave. He told her that I supported this decision fully. Max swears that he's not in love with her still, but I just can't believe that. He lied to my face. Before she visited our apartment back in May, he warned me not to mention her being stage 4 as she was still extremely sensitive about it, and I completely bought into that lie. I trusted him. He put his past with her over his future with me. I'll be spending the next few months apartment hunting and canceling wedding plans. Thank you all for your kind words. TLDR, confronted fiancé. He misrepresented his ex-wife's illness so that he could spend time with her. It's over, edit. I'm blown away by the outpouring of support I'm receiving. I wish I could respond to each of you individually. Thank you so much. This is a wonderful community, and I truly appreciate all of your thoughts. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Oh my god, I am so sorry. What a turd. You on the other hand handled this beautifully. Please lean on the people close to you in this time. Or lean on us. I know you don't think it right now, but you're going to be okay. Many internet hugs being sent your way. Reply, thank you. I just feel like such an idiot all this time, and I never once questioned his story. I never even saw Caroline. He told me that she was too embarrassed by her appearance to join in on our Skype calls. I just took him at his word. How did Max take the breakup? Reply, he kept apologizing to me. Not very sincerely, he just sounded tired. And when I said that I'd be moving out as soon as possible, he replied, that's probably for the best. The one thing he asked for was my ring, which I agreed to mail to Caroline's address. I'm realizing that he checked out of this relationship a while ago. What about the ring? Is it an heirloom? Does OP need to return that? Reply, no, it's not an heirloom. We picked it out together. I couldn't sell it. Anything I bought with that money, I'd never be able to look at without thinking of him. I'm more than happy to return the ring to him because it's a no-strings-attached way of getting it out of my life. Hopefully, it can be a nice reminder to him of me and why our relationship ended. OP can leave the ring on that counter and let Max deal with it. Reply, I might send it addressed to Caroline and include a note explaining to her why things ended between me and Max. Many people here are saying that she deserves to know the truth. Since his lies were crafted around her illness, commenter 2, this is a very good idea, but I would be concerned about Max intercepting it and making sure she never sees it. Reply, good point. I could always ask a friend of mine to send it on my behalf, so that it won't be our apartment on the return address. But this is probably wishful thinking. I should just leave it on the counter and move on. Up's plans now that she has ended her engagement to Max. Reply, I intend to go no contact with him, but I might send Caroline some sort of note. She's been completely innocent throughout all of this, and she deserves to know the truth, which I doubt he's told her. Stories number 13. I think I'm in love with my surrogate. This is a very bizarre situation, and I need to tell someone about it or else I think I'll go crazy. I will try and keep the details as vague as possible. Years ago, I 36F was told that I'll never be able to have children of my own. I was a bit heartbroken because I've always wanted kids, but I think I got over it pretty quickly. I just thought I'd adopt. Last year, I started looking into surrogacy, and I realized that was what I wanted to do, even though it's very uncommon to find women getting surrogates. That's how I met Sarah through a fertility clinic. Sarah 29F is an amazing woman. She has a very outgoing personality, she's incredibly funny, and she's just a really pleasant person to be around. She got pregnant fairly quickly around November of last year. I wasn't really sure what the rules for having a surrogate were, so I guess I just treated her like a friend who just so happened to be carrying my baby. I don't really have any friends or family, so this pregnancy naturally became my main focus. I would constantly ask her for updates, I will admit. I was very nervous and a bit too overbearing. We hung out a lot while she was pregnant, like almost 3 times a week. She even helped me set up the nursery and we had a mini gender reveal. But I never really thought of her as anything more than the woman helping me become a mother. She gave birth to a healthy baby boy on the 19th of August. I was with her the entire time. It was a terrifying experience, but it was also amazing. We kept in after the birth. I would send her updates, and she would ask how we were both doing, and we had lunch every now and then. We didn't talk as much, and I started missing her a lot, but just chalked it up to me missing someone who was a big part of my life for almost a year, and, again, I didn't think I thought of her like that. I'm slowly coming to realize that I might have a crush on her, and I have no idea what to do. I haven't said anything yet because I don't want to make her uncomfortable. The last thing I want to do is ruin our friendship. I don't even know if I really like her. Maybe I'm just lonely and insanely grateful for what she did. Do I say anything? My son is just amazing. I still can't believe I'm a mother. It feels unreal. Comments. Commenter 1. I think you show some wise insight near the end of your post. It is completely possible you are experiencing a rush of emotions and hormones. Yes, even with a surrogate, amplified by the extremely emotional and intimate nature of childbirth. It would be almost impossible not to feel extremely attached and affectionate towards someone in that scenario. So do yourself a favor, and while you don't need to do anything drastic like cut her off, just take some time and give yourself a chance to cool down first. You have a whole life ahead of you. Take a couple months of maintaining your standard level of friendship with her, and reassess how you feel and what you want to do when things are less crazy and emotionally charged. Reply, I never considered the hormones thing. Thank you. The last thing I want to do is confess my feelings and then realize down the line that it was just excitement. Commenter 2. General advice. Please prioritize having a community to raise your child around. Be that friends, family, found family, etc. Raising a child as single parent is a lot, and a child needs more than just their parents in their lives. The saying "it takes a village" is common for a reason. You may be feeling these emotions for her because you do lack this community and are looking for a connection in general. Having a child is hard and isolating at times, so having people to share that with can help a lot. As others have said, wait it out. This is a new discovery, and you have no idea if it will be enduring or if it's because of other factors. There's no rush. Take this time to build that village before trying to jump into a romantic relationship. Reply, I didn't realize having people around was so important. Thank you. I will definitely be signing up for some classes with other moms. Commenter 3, join a mommy and me group ASAP. Many parents form lifelong friendships in these groups. They have the advantage of being a very low stakes. Easy thing to do for an hour or two a week. Get you out of the house with your baby. And provide adult company. Commenter 4. Take time to understand your feelings. Don't rush to tell her yet. Stay friends. Keep things gentle. If your feelings stay strong over time, and you feel sure it's not just gratitude or loneliness, then you can share, carefully and respectfully. Stories number 14. Court says I did not appear to my hearing. Should I call their BS and tell them I audio recorded it? I had a court hearing with the state of California, Department of Social Services CDSS, for a Medi-Cal appeal. This hearing was led by a Los Angeles County Administrative Law judge and was done over a recorded WebEx meeting 10 days ago. Today, I received an update from CDSS. A letter from an administrative law judge states that I did not appear for my hearing, and my appeal is dismissed. I can ask to reopen the appeal, but to do this, you must give a good reason for not attending the hearing. It is so frustrating that the county claims I wasn't there when there is video record of my hearing. Luckily, I wanted a personal copy of the video hearing, so I audio recorded the majority of it on my phone. Was that legal? I opened this appeal 2 months ago. The judge essentially ruled in my favor during my hearing. I'm going to call the State Hearings Division first thing Monday morning. But when they ask for my reason for not attending the hearing, should I mention that I have audio proof of my appearance, or should I simply say that I was present and they need to retrieve the video recording of our WebEx meeting? I do not want to self-incriminate, but I also refuse to allow myself to be gaslit. Edit. I did not inform the other parties, judge and CDSS rep, that I was audio recording. Edit 2. I understand that I should not have recorded the conversation since I did not ask for nor receive consent from the other parties. I will request that they review their copy of the hearing, since we were on a recorded WebEx meeting. Thank you for your help. Edit 3. This was my first time posting in this subreddit. I just want to say thank you for your helpful engagement. I expressed my initial frustration by thinking to myself, you think I didn't show up to my hearing? Really? Well, let me show you how dumb you are to say that. There was some fascinating thoughts about two-party consent, and whether that would matter given that we all consented to being recorded on WebEx. Also, there were some questions about my own engagement during the hearing. I probably spoke for 1/3 of the 30-minute hearing, so I'm sure they will update their decision once I kindly ask them to review their files. I feel more understanding toward whoever sent the failure to appear letter. This is a normal human error during a time where the court's already stressful job is probably all the more overwhelming. Take care, fellow human. Comments. Commenter 1. I know this is for legal advice, hence why there is debate on the legality of the recording, but I think we're all jumping the gun. Start by calling them and explaining there was an error. People make mistakes and they will probably say sorry and get it fixed. Or say they'll check their recordings and fix it. I got a speeding ticket out of state and pled not guilty. Months go by and I heard nothing until I got a letter from my RMV saying my license was suspended for failure to appear. I called the court in a panic since my job is tied to my license, and they were like, oops, haha. Yep, that was our mistake. We'll send them a letter. BTW, we still don't have a court date for you. Ended up just being an automated paperwork error. Commenter 2, the court has a copy of the hearing, no? Reply, they should. But it appears they did not review it given the fact that they sent me the notice that my claim was dismissed because I did not appear to my hearing. Commenter 3, just ask the court for a copy of the written and video transcript. They need evidence you didn't appear. Commenter 4, this almost seems like the judge had your paperwork and someone else's on their desk and then wrote down their decision on the wrong cases. Somewhere out there, someone else's appeal got approved, and they didn't even have to show up. Stories number 15. What do you do when another guy challenges you in front of your girlfriend to fight? I had a personal trainer try to pick a physical fight with me. He was an A-class dickhead. I'd take my wife to the gym with me every Saturday so she can use the squat machine. Otherwise, she trains at home. He'd run to go put his stuff on the only assisted squat machine when he would see us walk in. His client would use the machine in parallel to two other machines and farmers walks up and down. So it would be 30-40 minutes of waiting. I'd ask him how long he would be, and if my wife could share the machine whilst his client is doing the other exercises. I don't know. I'm not obligated to share. Next time be here earlier, brah. 1 week ago, we arrived and he wasn't on the floor, so I took his move and made a beeline for the assisted squat rack and put my stuff down for my wife to use it. When he appeared a few minutes later, he came to ask me how long we would be. I told him, I don't know. I'm not obligated to share. Next time be here earlier. He got pissed off and told me I needed to learn some respect and to meet him outside. I agreed and said I'll see you in 5 minutes. My wife wasn't happy about the situation and asked to leave. I told her I have a plan. I decided to surprise him and bring the gym manager with me. He was put on suspension, pending investigation. He came to apologize 10 minutes later and asked if I'd formally retract my complaint as this is his only income. You need to learn some respect. I'll be opening a docket with the police, so if you try this again, I'll have you arrested and formally charged. I'm not opposed to fighting. I used to do amateur boxing, but I genuinely don't want to fight someone over something so petty. Plus, there's always a chance he could lay a charge against me for physical assault. Edit 1. The reason why I ask is I went back to the gym today, and a few guys I considered gym friends found out about the incident. 2 of them were of the opinion that I should have just accepted his apology. 2 others asked why I just didn't fight him and end it like that. Edit 2. I found out today that he was terminated and banned from working and entering any gym that is on their brand. It's the biggest commercial gym in my country. That said, I believe I chose the best possible outcome given the situation. As does my wife comments, commenter 1, dude, I think you did the right thing. If you had kicked this dude's ass, you would have been on the hook legally. If he kicked yours, you'd have had boku medical bills. There is no situation wherein fighting this guy was optimal, and worse, someone's head bounces off the concrete. Someone squares up to me. I'm running because I actually have things to lose. They grab me, it's a different story. Commenter 2, you handled it well, man. No need to throw hands to prove anything, you kept your cool and that's what really matters. Commenter 3, of course you did the right thing. Grown men don't go around getting into fights. You can kill someone. You can get killed. You can get arrested. You can get sued. This is juvenile shit. Commenter 4. I don't know why your ego is bruised. Were you going to gain anything from fighting? As Marcellus Wallace said, that's pride. Fucking with you. You handled it perfectly. As a former bouncer, I can tell you we would do this all the time. Agree to go fight outside and lock the door behind them as soon as they're out. We don't get paid to fight. We get paid to make sure there's no problems. Your job as a husband is to make sure there's no problems for your family. Reply, my gym friends found out and gave me a bit of grief today about it. Before that point, I honestly thought I handled it as best as possible. Stories number 16, friend got 5150'd for crying. My ex is psychotic and keeps getting coddled. It's just the fucking double standard, and the unfair, systematic protection of unstable young white men for me today. My beastie was recently having a really hard time. She's dealing with her father's very traumatic dementia-related death, paired with a really painful fight she's been having with her mom over how to handle his estate. All that on top of her recent miscarriage, subsequent breakup of her relationship because her ex accused her of purposefully inducing the miscarriage, and a ton of pressure from a job that has drastically changed its expectations of her, and she just couldn't hold it together. She ended up briefly sobbing uncontrollably during a work conference. Not great, but she excused herself to a more private area, was struggling to gather herself, and had called me asking me to come get her, as she knew she couldn't drive herself. I was literally on my way to get her. It was a 2-hour drive, but I was the closest person. But she still had the cops called on her and got fucking arrested and held for 48 hours against her will for her own safety and the safety of others. There was basically nothing her boss, her mother, or I could do for 48 hours, according to everyone we spoke to. She didn't resist at all, but was still injured black eye, broken rib, bruised all over when they took her in. And she's overall traumatized just because she cried in public. Meanwhile, I cannot help but to compare this to how my ex, who has been dangerously mentally ill for years, has been treated. He is outwardly and increasingly delusional, psychotic for the better part of a decade. And it has become staggeringly evident that he is disconnected from reality if you speak to him for even a brief period of time. When I broke up with him, his behavior was so insane that I urged his family to get him help, but they just bitched at me for dumping him. His family has supported him every time he's gone insane by enabling him to the extreme. Their support always takes the form of making excuses for him or bailing him out. People, not just me, but numerous people, have called the cops on him more times than I can count because he was behaving erratically, and the police have almost always just shown up and babysit him until a relative of his could come get him. It didn't matter as he was scream-sobbing outside my doctor's office to see me, or if he was naked on my brother's lawn throwing a tantrum. His behavior was apparently not psych-hold-worthy, but a woman crying is? It took years of this man harassing me before. The first time he got arrested, and even then it was literally because he was following my underage family members around and injured. One of them trying to get them to get into his car. He got several slaps on the wrist of only slightly increasing severity, and it's almost like law enforcement was willfully ignoring the fact that he is balls-to-wall insane. He was never put on a psych hold, even when I requested specifically as the victim of a crime that he receive psychological attention. He was never compelled to receive any psychological evaluation or treatment for years. He only ended up getting in actual substantial trouble when he ultimately was caught on camera doing felony-level property damage at my father's house, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of damage to multiple of my family members and neighbors' vehicles, and hundreds of thousands more damage to a neighbor's house and my father's house, and caused serious injury to my sister-in-law when he went looking for me at my dad's house while I was there during a family holiday party. Even then, on the occasion when he actually ended up facing serious legal consequences for the first time. I listened out an upstairs window to him telling the cops that we were married and had been for over 4 decades, when neither of us has been alive for 4 decades, and we were never anything close to married. My ex was babbling obvious nonsense about how the fractal entity told him that I owed him alimony, and how he could prove with a pendulum that I'd stolen his business ideas from his subconscious, and that he was going to kill my father to earn my love. But the cop just patiently listened, and then proceeded to basically ignore all the other batshit crazy stuff he was saying to tell him, "Buddy, you don't want to say you're planning to kill anyone, okay?" The officer even stepped away to give him a minute. When my ex began to hyperventilate and scream-sob about obvious nonsense, my ex, who was not restrained at the time, took that opportunity to try to run, and only after he bit a police officer did they give him a beatdown and restrain him. The contrast is so stark to me. My friend cried in public and was treated like a raving lunatic who was a danger to society. My ex was spewing demonstrably insane shit and scream-sobbing and hollering racial slurs at my husband in public on multiple occasions for years, and openly displaying behavior that everyone I know universally agrees is fully insane. And he's somehow given grace about his mental health? Make it make sense. Comments. Commenter 1. How the hell did she get a broken rib? Edit. To elaborate, since this got somewhat high in the thread, this was typed quickly in anger after reading this and was definitely meant as, what the hell did the cops do to her to achieve that result? Not, oh, what did she do to deserve a beating in the middle of her crying spell? FFS people, it's 2025 and we're on a women's support sub. Can y'all really not believe women yet? Are you really just blindly trusting cops in this situation? Even when the original explanation included witnesses? OP, I'm so sorry if this sounded like doubt rather than indignation. I should have worded it better. Reply. When the cops showed up, she was in a bathroom stall and the door of that stall opened in an odd way. She unlocked and began to open the stall door to try to come out to talk to the police, and the officer pushed the door open very hard because they thought she was holding the door shut or something, but it was just the way the door was opening. She was briefly shoved between the door and the wall-mounted menstrual disposal thingy. Even the cops admit she did not resist. Commenter 2. I was friends with an abuse victim. She is in the process of divorcing her husband. They got into an argument because he threw her cat outside. He called the police and told them she hit him and threatened his children. She got scared and drove over to my place to hide for a day. The police visited her place multiple times to arrest her. She wasn't there, but they kept trying. 8 male police officers showed up one night and arrested her. She was in her pajamas, and they refused to let her grab a jacket and shoes. Her shitbag husband admitted to the police he made a false police report. She has a text from him saying he lied to the police to punish her, and to mess with her green card status. She still had to post bail, get an attorney, and go to court because a man was the victim of abuse. I've been friends with other female abuse victims. They never got this response from the cops. The police either never came, or they believed the male abuser when he denied the abuse. Also, 2 of the arresting officers hit on my friend. One hit on her and called her beautiful when she was handcuffed in the back seat of a police car. Another got her number and started texting her and begging for a date. Fucking pigs. Reply. I feel this so hard. My ex has harassed me and my husband for years. My ex is a willowy little weakling, and my 6'4" broad barn-built husband could fold him like a lawn chair. But I have always insisted that my husband cannot do anything to retaliate, or even put himself in a position to have to physically defend himself, because my ex is white, and my husband is Latino. I know that the same cops who have let my white ex ran rampant might just as easily curb stomp my brown husband. As a white woman, I don't even want to retaliate against him. The one time I maced him, the cops confiscated my mace and warned me not to carry it anymore. Commenter 3, holy shit. So someone at her work called the police? I'm thinking lawsuit. Reply. She has no proof, but she's fairly certain she knows who it was that called. I'm just appalled that she was detained at all. For crying in public, she wasn't doing any damage. She wasn't screaming. She was just overwhelmed and weeping. Commenter 4. It's terrible that something that's supposed to help keep people safe during mental crisis can be weaponized and used to make things much worse. I'm sorry. It's happened to me before. I'm glad to know your friend has a great person in her corner. Reply, thank you. I'm trying. She needs all the love she can get. Stories number 17. Aita for asking why my coworker wears makeup every day. So I-29M was at work during a pretty long meeting with a few other coworkers. One of my coworkers is new late 30s F, and the conversation steered around our professional experiences and history. Pretty standard, I guess. Midway during reviewing some boring stuff, this coworker asked me with a smirk, "Can I ask you a question?" Since we were talking about our professional lives, I was like, "Yeah, sure, what's up?" And she followed up with, "Why do you always wear hats?" Now, I'll be honest, I'm bald, however I like my baldness. I started balding at 21 and I was like, fuck that, and just shaved it off instead of trying to style my hair in any way to hide it. Also, since my hair is super curly and compact, it just wasn't gonna be an option. In college, people loved it, said I had a good head shape, and said I looked like Terry Crews, Shaquille O'Neal, or The Rock. Not sure about that last one, lol, so I was pretty confident with it. But when I turned 25, I started being mistaken for 30 cause of the bald cut. So I started wearing hats pretty much everywhere. Grew a collection for all situations, work, gym, social life, anywhere besides weddings and funerals, tbh. And with hats on at 29, I've been mistaken to be as young as 22, not the goal, but yeah. The plan was to wear them until 30 and then cut back when my head matched my age, lol anyways. This coworker asks, why do you wear hats every day? To be fair, it's a corporate setting, but it's also tech. We're in marketing and it's 2025, so smart casual is the rule of thumb, and my bosses don't care, and dress in hoodies and hats to work some days. I responded I like hats, and she said, but every day? So I said, yeah, I'm bald. I like my head shape, but I don't want to look like I'm 35, so I'll wear hats for now. Plus, I look good in them. Now, I wasn't thinking, and she's probably around this 35 age or older, so I may have offended her with that, but she replied 29, and wearing hats every day to hide? Wow, this struck a nerve with me, so I responded, well, since joining, I've seen you wear makeup every day. Even casual Fridays or on your work-from-home team calls. So why do you wear makeup every day? There was a muffled giggle, but it's clear the atmosphere was tense. She got heated and said that's a sexist question, and I said, how? Other women in the office don't wear makeup every day? And my boyfriend sometimes wears makeup when we go out to a high-class event. He just doesn't do it every day. So why do you wear makeup every day? She got heated and silent, and one of the other coworkers went back to focusing on the deck. I feel like her and I not on the best of terms now, as she will not talk to me now. So Aita for asking why my coworker wears makeup every day? Commenter 1ESH. She was being inappropriate, but you were at work. The way to come out of that interaction in the clear is to say something like, as interesting as it is, I think we've talked about my hat enough for the day. What's everyone doing on the weekend? Not to be equally weird to prove a point. There's no air horns. Nobody's going to clap. Commenter 2ESH. Her first question wasn't rude. Benefit of the doubt. It's genuine curiosity. Her follow-up question sounded a bit judgmental. Still not arsehole behavior, though. Her comment at then and though, very arsehole. Your question was only designed to hit back at her, so asshole. FYI, men being bald is nowhere near as stigmatized as women not wearing makeup in the workplace. Commenter 3ESH. Even leaving aside questions of sexism in the workplace, ESH. She clearly wanted to say, I think it's dumb that you wear hats every single day. Instead, she cross-examined you on your perfectly work-appropriate style. You then wanted to say, the way you cross-examined me about my style was invasive and not okay, annoyed me, hurt my feelings. Instead, you went on to do the exact thing you didn't like. To her to what? Teach her a lesson. You knew how shitty it felt, so what? You wanted her to feel as shitty as you did and now wonder why she won't talk to you? So yeah, ESH, commenter 4 NTA, I don't get these ESH responses. On its face value, why do you wear makeup every day, is a simple question, and she could have said, because I like to. Which, to be fair, you could have said in response to her. She was majorly out of line for not dropping it after your first response. She was rude for continually questioning your choices. Also the smirk, but I don't know if people actually do that in real life. Stories number 18. AITA, because I won't let my dad's new wife take a look at my mom's recipe notebook. My mom loved cooking, and she took down all her favorite recipes that she customized and put them into her own little cooking notebook. She started it before she met my dad. Whenever she had time to actually cook, she'd make one of those recipes and she kept collecting them. She added her last recipe a month before she died. It was something special to her, and before she died, she gave it to me and said she wanted me to be able to make them and continue the love for cooking she had. She already had me started because I 17F used to cook with her all the time, and getting those recipes was so special. I cook using those recipes a little, but I don't do a lot of cooking. Either Dad gets takeout or I spend afternoons with another family member and eat with them. My dad married again 18 months ago. I have a 7-month-old half-sister, and now his wife's pregnant again. She wanted to start cooking more, and Dad told her about Mom's recipes. She was like, oh, that's so cool, and asked him if she could see. And he told her Mom gave them to me. I didn't offer it to her, and the topic dropped. But then, a couple of weeks later, she asked me if she could take a look at the notebook, because she wants to start making family meals for all of us. And I said no. I told her to start her own recipes, but I'm not sharing Mom's with her. She told me it was crummy of me to keep them to myself, and I should want to share with my family. We don't really get along outside of this, so it annoyed me that she asked and pushed in the first place. It made us like each other less, and then Dad got involved because I didn't give in. He told me it was no big deal and I could take it back after. He asked what the harm was, and I asked what she needed those recipes for and why she couldn't find her own. He said she knows how much cooking was a thing between me and Mom, and she wants to do that for my half-siblings, and wants us as a new family to have stuff like that to bond over. I told him I wasn't bonding with his new wife or my half-siblings over Mom's recipes, and he should help her find new recipes if she was serious about cooking. A few days ago, they told me to grow up and stop being selfish when I still didn't give in. I don't want to share with this woman, and I think it's weird to be so obsessed with recipes my mom found and altered instead of doing shit for herself. Comments, commenter 1, make sure it's in a place she can't get to it. And NTA replied they won't be getting it. I have it somewhere they won't find it, and I check on it whenever I visit where it's at now. Commenter 2, there are millions of recipes and millions of places to find them. There is no reason she can't go find some of those. Commenter 3, NTA tell her Google is free and there are so many recipes online she does not need your mom's. Reply, apparently Google recipes just aren't it for her. There's nothing else she could find but the ones my mom collected. Nothing else works. Must be so tough to be so restricted. Commenter 4, it's weird in a want to replace your mom kind of way. I find it a little insensitive. Reply, maybe she does want to replace her for Dad. My dad still gets takeout a lot, so maybe she's insecure and wants to feed him like my mom did. Weird, but that's for her to figure out with him and not with me via my mom's recipes. Stories number 19. I gained weight for my BF. Now he's gone and I'm fat AF and alone. Throw away for sure. This is killing me inside, and I have to confess it anonymously before I explode. I'm 30 mem 5'5", and a year ago I was already a little chubby. Around 170 pounds but nothing crazy. Just normal, slightly out of shape. I'd go to the gym sporadically. That's where I met him. 35 mem, tall, dark, handsome, very fit, etc. He approached me one day after locking eyes with me. Sparks immediately. He was confident, funny, extremely hot. So hot I was like, why are you talking to me? In retrospect, the signs were there early. He'd casually mention how adorable my little belly was, and would take me out to eat for dinner and dessert a lot. Nothing pushy, but he made it clear he liked that I was thicker. I gained a bit during this time, maybe 20 pounds in the first 2-3 months. He made me feel beautiful though, and the sex was insane. Then after about 3 months it got explicit. He confessed he had a feeder kink making your partner fat. He promised it would be fun, that he'd worship me and take care of me. I was hooked on him. Insecure about my body but addicted to his approval. So I agreed. It ramped up so fast, he'd plan massive meals. Feed me by hand sometimes. Weigh me weekly. Order in huge takeout orders while he was at the gym and I'd be home alone eating. I'm sorry to say that it turned me on at first. He was so into me and really worshipped me. The sex was so insanely good. His excitement was intoxicating. I had a few moments where I said I needed to chill and think about things. He would respect it in the moment, but a day or two later, be right back at it. I ballooned. I gained nearly 100 pounds total. Now I'm 270 pounds at 5'5". I'm out of breath constantly. Can't fit in booths or tie shoes easy. Feel so out of shape. I live on the 5th floor and it's the most exercise I get. I look in the mirror and hate what I see. I'm so fat. Weeks ago he left. Things were totally fine, and out of the blue, he said this isn't working for him anymore and needs some time alone. Out of nowhere, now I'm going back over everything that happened. Realized he was subtly fattening me from day one. Then got his full kink fix and split when I wasn't fun anymore. Part of me thinks if would have shut up about my hesitations he would still be here. Regret doesn't cover it. I feel used. Stupid for letting a hot guy manipulate me like this. Starting the long road back. But so far I've found sticking to a diet really hard. Like my body is addicted to Uber Eats and sweets. I'm afraid I won't be able to lose it. Anyone fallen into a partner's fetish trap and clawed out? I know I consented, but damn, the hindsight is brutal. And don't really have anyone to lean on right now. Commenter 1. Can't say I can relate to this, but I can say this. I 30 men am dropping from 289 right now. Currently down to 245, and you're right, the sugars and shit are addictive as fuck. The real trick I've found helps me is loading up as much as possible on protein. An example of this is my breakfast quiche. Cast iron pan, a tortilla low carb, 3 eggs, 25 g of spinach, 100 g of halves cherry tomatoes, salt, pepper. Top with low-fat cheddar and parmesan. Mix the filling, pour into the tortilla, toss it all into the oven at 360 for half hour. Protein shake on the side with low-fat milk. And that should YMMV be enough protein to keep the sugar noises at bay. At least, it helped me. You got this. And I hope you feel like a better, stronger, and more complete you after this. Commenter 2. Doing this to another person to get your dick wet is absolutely psychopathic. Like, wow. Reply, I technically consented at some point and let he do it to me. But I just couldn't say no. I can't believe I'm this huge now and trying to navigate alone. Commenter 3. I can't second the protein wreck enough. I don't struggle with my weight, but I do struggle insanely with sugar addiction. And have found that having an actually tasty protein powder around so incredibly helpful. I use a black and yellow whey powder from Costco. I'll try to remember to look at the label when I get home and tell you the brand. I am so sorry that this has happened to you. Realizing you've been manipulated into an entire behavioral shift is an entirely unique type of trauma. I just want to remind you to focus on the mental health side of things, as you're also healing your physical body. That kind of manipulation definitely will have long-lasting effects on how your brain thinks about itself. But just remember, it's just like a sugar addiction. It's not actually you, it's just an excess of those chemicals in your brain, and they can be cleared out and retrained back into a healthy state with dedicated effort. And just like you might need to get a personal trainer to lose some weight, it is 100% okay to get a therapist to work through the mental training you might need to go through. Best of luck to you, take it one step at a time. Commenter 4. Not quite the same. I was with a guy in my teens who would force me to make him food, then wouldn't want it and make me eat it. I put on loads of weight, and he was all kinds of abusive. The only thing I can say is to try get some therapy if you can. Look for someone who specializes in trauma, domestic violence, and eating. I've never got over the disordered eating it caused me, and it's been coming on 20 years. I think a lot is down to the fact I originally lost all the weight a few years later after I got out of the cycle of abuse via exercise, so I never really saw that part as having left its mark. However, when I became physically disabled and I couldn't exercise anymore, the fact my eating wasn't good meant I put it all back on. Please remember the shame is on him, not you. The fact he felt it was okay to make you do this is wrong. The fact he put your health at risk for his own kink. You liking it is natural, you were getting a lot of love, praise and attention, and then add on the high from all the sugar, etc. It made you feel good, so try not to let yourself feel down about that side. It's not on you, and you aren't alone. Stories. Number 20. My boyfriend won't try on his Christmas present. Not gonna lie. I'm pretty fucking angry, and I'm basically only here for a whinge and a moan. If a mellowed-out soul wants to give me some advice that might be helpful, though, because I currently want nothing more than to punt the bastard off a cliff. I'm 27 and he's 33. Together 4 years. We have artsy hobbies and we usually like to make each other a handmade gift for Christmas. We usually enjoy it, but honestly, this last year he is constantly at my house leaving his ball hair under my toilet seat, whinging about Boris Johnson and doing my Swede in. I saw an advert for Dogs Trust about how Milo the Doberman is going to spend Christmas alone this year, and I'm jealous of the fucker. Anyway, I sew as a hobby. For Christmas, I thought it would be nice to make my boyfriend a blazer. He asked for one for his birthday, but I couldn't get fabric for his birthday this year. I've made blazers before, but the materials I bought this time were not cheap. So to make sure I knew what I was doing, I got some of the leftover fabric from my last project, and made a mock-up's prototype to make sure it was right. For the last 3 days have been sewing about 80 different tiny little insivable pockets, and invisible seams and buttonholes. But now I've got a pretty decent mock-up of what I want the real blazer to look like. I just wanted to check it fits him properly, so I asked him to take 10 minutes to try it on so I could make sure. I don't know what his problem is, but he decided that instead of trying it on so I can check it fits like I asked, he would start a row with me. A row because the fabric I made the trial blazer out of has flowers on it, and was at some point in the week pinned to my mannequin, who is a woman. He won't put it on. He's telling me he won't put it on, even though he knows I'm the only one who's gonna see it. I wish I was joking. Actually, no I don't, because the girls and I are all having a right giggle about it. I don't know what he wants, but if he thinks that after I've spent $200 on materials to make this fucking blazer, I'm gonna trot my arse down to the craft shop to spend another tenner on a roll of plain fabric because he wants a mock-up that doesn't have flowers on it. He can get on his bike and ride it to Timbuktu, I mean it. He's been playing up like a fucking imbecile for weeks now. I'm sick of his bullshit. I'm not going to coddle him and pretend that what he's asking for is reasonable. I've talked to my therapist about this, and he talked about reasonable ways to resolve this conflict. Currently, I have come up with shag his day, and then go on the Jeremy Kyle show to tell him, make him sleep in the car and then have the car towed off the pier. Give him a card and a Snickers bar for Christmas. Wait for him to complain, then chuck his clothes out the upstairs window while the neighbors watch. I'm open to more suggestions if you can think of anything better. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I am laughing my arse off at your possible solutions. They all sound reasonable to me. All I can think of is to shelve the whole thing for now and ask him calmly, possibly after preemptive self-medication to enable calm, if he wants a blazer or not. If he does, he tries this one on. If not, he owes you an apology for wasting your time. What does he think will happen if he tries on a flowered mock-up? His dick will fall off? You can fix that. Reply appreciated. The therapist didn't agree, though I can fix that. I think no penis suits him better. Commenter 2. You should finish up the flowered blazer without a fitting, and give it to him for Christmas too. Maybe add some lace and bows. Reply, I do like that idea. Tell him I knew it was inappropriate to ask him to wear something like that without a matching clutch bag. Commenter 3. Don't do this. Don't lean into the toxic masculinity. It's not girly to like flowers, and he doesn't have a vagina just because he's being an asshole. Reply, absence of a penis does not a vagina make, my friend. However, you are right. Just because he's being a dildo, I shouldn't play up to it. But I'm mad, so I'm gonna shred his masculinity in the anonymous comments. Commenter 4. His masculinity certainly sounds very fragile. Commenter 5. Knitters have this boyfriend sweater curse. Apart from the fact that your boyfriend exhibits some ridiculously fragile masculinity here, that curse says after you knit an especially nice and work-intensive sweater for your, in this scenario, boyfriend, the relationship falls apart. I saw a TikTok about it that made a good point. It's not the sweater. It's investing so much love and time and labor, and then feeling the resentment when you see it on a person that doesn't value any from that from you, and would never invest that much for you. And you know it. In a good relationship, you just made your spouse a sweater. In a bad relationship, it brings out what is wrong. For example, investment disbalances, or a fragile ego, or whatever. Maybe you found the sewing equivalent, the blazer curse, and the sewing magic is trying to tell you something. Reply, this makes so much sense. Commenter 6. Damn, that masculinity sure is fragile. Reply, he makes me get the spiders too. Commenter 7. Somehow I knew that based on your description. Commenter 8. This is insane. I'd understand if he didn't want to wear something floral out, but it's a mock-up of the real one. He's crazy. My suggestion is to donate the blazer to someone who needs it and would appreciate it and get your boyfriend nothing for Christmas. Reply: the ironic thing is he's the biggest pussy I know. Commenter 9: it sounds like you want to break up with him. Why don't you? Reply: honestly, I'm going to. Today really set me off, but it's not the first time he's behaved in a way that's completely infantile for no reason. I can't be with someone like that. Commenter 10: what language is this? Seems like English, but has expressions like doing my Swede in. What did I just read? Reply: this is real Manchester English, my guy. OP made one final comment update same day. His stuff is packed and by the door. It's up to him when to come and get it. He knew I was a cold bitch when he got with me. I didn't know he was a man-child until I had to lock myself in a house with him. I think I deserve some slack. Stories number 21. AIO: if I left my husband over breaking a clearly communicated, previously agreed upon boundary for the second time? I guess I know the answer, but I want to see if anyone might give a better idea. My husband and I have been married for just under 5 months. Some background context: I know Reddit has a skewed view of relationships, and this is said a lot. But I am being truthful when I say my husband is the best man I have ever met. He is kind, loving, attentive, able to communicate in conflict. So smart and gentle with me. He healed me from my abandonment trauma. Context 2 below. The problem is: 1. Prior to us dating, he used to be very into the Asian baby girl kind of aesthetic. You know, super slim, Asian doll-like girls with big cute eyes, fair skin, puffy cheeks when they smile without looking chubby. Think IU. Karina Aespa, Wonyoung, his Instagram feed was full of them. Saved methodically by folder and name. I did not know this before I dated him. Else I would have stayed clear of guys like this. After he met me and we got serious, he made an effort to clean up his act. This was from a combination of him seeing how it made me feel when I saw his feed. I went quiet, really sad, and started thinking about how I compared to them, plus his mother talking to him about it. Now that you're dating and soon to be engaged, you need to treat her well, and that includes stopping yourself from looking and admiring this kind of thing, etc. Important to note, I am not in any way unattractive. I am slim, not thin, but slender, fit and toned. With baby abs. I used to be a fitness instructor. I am slim with big eyes and long, thick hair. Just that I am not an Asian baby girl specifically. My skin is more tan, but seeing him lust after these kind of girls didn't feel great. Anyway, he really cleaned up his act and feed. Got rid of the folders, merch, etc. When he showed me, I couldn't believe it. It felt so good to be cared after, that they take proactive steps to make you feel comfortable. Green flags all the way. We made a promise to be exclusive to each other. The only one for each other's eyes and heart. No wandering eyes or emotional or physical affairs. This may sound like bare minimum. Please see 2 below on why it had to be set. We got married. Everything was great. Then 3 months into our marriage, I caught him looking and saving pics of this type of girl sensually dancing in lingerie. Her lying on a bed, modeling adult toys. You get the idea. I was very shocked and hurt. I told him so, and reminded him this was a boundary we agreed before we got engaged and married. He was very remorseful and crying about it. He said it was a moment of stress and needing a quick dopamine hit, etc. What hurt the most is that he was looking at this while I was waiting for him in bed, all dolled up in sexy lingerie, and he had been neutral to my attempts to flirt and advances all week, and he knew I was waiting. It really badly hurt. I felt so stupid and disgusting and unwanted. Imagine your husband choosing a few seconds of pixels of a girl who will never know or care. He existed to gratify him over real warm body and breasts, all sensual and waiting for him to plow into her. I spent 3 days being essentially a depressed veggie on my bed, wondering if this was enough to leave. He spent 3 days trying to throw everything he had to make up for it and not lose me. At the end of it, I told him 3 strikes and we are done. I will not tolerate this disrespect. I would just disappear with my stuff and he will never hear from me again. He agreed, cried, promised it won't happen again, and we were happy. I thought that was it. Better early conflict in our marriage than later when I'm pregnant or locked. Sort it now. We survived. Last night, I found a secret account where he had been doing it again. I was floored. We have free pass to each other's phones because apparently there is nothing to hide, and I was using his phone to text the family because mine was dying. I woke him up and asked him about it, my hands shaking. Cue all the tessers again, and thus my conflict now. Should I leave him over this? It's barely 5 months into our marriage. What options do I have? Therapy. I know I said 3 strikes, but this recurred just 2 months later from the first time. I have this sinking feeling it will happen again. Do I just respect myself enough to walk away? Is this too trivial? Do I let it go? I am currently sleeping separately, but I can't sleep anyway. He says he has deleted his Instagram now and will really try to show he has changed, but I don't have faith anymore. Maybe I am still raw. I come from a broken family. My dad used to have wandering eyes and had multiple affairs. He saw women as a conquest. Chase them, win them, then discard them. He cheated on my mum before they married. After they married, when I was 3 months old, and left her when I was 2 with her pregnant with my sister. Over the years, he would pop back into our life from time to time when it suits him, only to be off again the next day, week. My mum took him to court for divorce, but it is extremely difficult and up the man's power in my culture. He paid the bare minimum amount for children, just so that we couldn't say that he was negligent in his duties in court and annul the marriage. I remember the many times we were malnutrition at severely underweight BMI that the DR worried for us as potentially anorexic plus. We were in the hospital and text him to let him know, and he would just not care. Never show up prior to meeting my now husband and soon-to-be ex. I swore off marriage forever because I saw how she suffered and couldn't imagine trusting someone like that again. Hence the trust issues. I see so many parallels with how it started from my dad to him now. Peas. This post is not in hearing views about is the boundary of him, not looking and saving pics of these girls, right or wrong. I've seen various threads on this with POVs ranging from, "This is normal for boys. Your guy is married, not dead, he still has eyes and he will look. As long as it isn't physical, doesn't affect the relationship, it is fine." Usually these views come from men, with some women saying, "Agree." They'd look also to appreciate God's wonderful creation. To these people I say you can do what you like in your own relationship, but that is not the advice asked of this post. Please scroll along. Within the defined boundaries of our relationship, this is not acceptable, and was one of my deal breakers before I married him. He was clear on this, and so am I. So what would you do if your expressed boundary is broken? The same way he would not want me posting sultry pics of myself online to get men's attention. I would not want him appreciating sensual, sexy pics of other women. Stories number 22. Aita for ruining my son's schedule by letting him stay up later with me and playing video games. To start, I am divorced as of 2023. I'm 35M and my ex-wife is 36. We copa rent pretty efficiently, and I have my son 13 every other week. She has him on the other weeks, and on Saturday, we try to do something together as a family before we send him off to stay with the other parent. I should make this distinction. We parent pretty differently from each other. I'm much more lax, so long as he keeps his grades up and stays out of trouble. His mother, on the other hand, is much more hands-on and more of a manager mom, to put it in words. For instance, she only lets him play video games on Friday and for no longer than an hour or two. He has a strict bedtime of 9 p.m. no matter the day, and she cooks all of his food. She doesn't like fast food or anything like that and does not let him eat it. I, on the other hand, do enforce a bedtime of 9 p.m. on school nights, but 11 on Fridays, and on Fridays, I couldn't care less if he games for a few hours so long as he makes it to bed on time and has done his homework. With that out of the way, this week I noticed he was studying a lot more than usual, and he told me he had some tests coming up on Friday, an algebra test, an English test, and a history test. I offered to help him study, and he denied my help and said he could do it on his own. He's generally all right in school, being a B student most of the time. Friday comes, and when he gets home from school, he's super happy, telling me he passed all of his tests and, even more, he aced all of them. I was super proud and congratulated him, and decided to reward him a bit. He had recently been talking about playing a game with me, so I found some games we could play, and we settled on Diablo 3, and I ordered us some pizza from about 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. We played Diablo, cracked jokes, ate some pizza, and had a fun time. I made sure to tell him that we only played this long, however, because he passed his tests. Come today, and he tells my ex-wife what he did, and she blows up at me in private and claims I was ruining his diet, sleep schedule, and their relationship. Saying he'd prefer me from now on, I argued back, saying it was a reward because he got all A's on his test, and he should get to have fun being a kid sometimes. We went back and forth for a while, but it ended in her calling me an AH and leaving with my son, as it is her week next. I'm a bit conflicted because I think he deserved to have a reward for this, but I can see how she might see it as me trying to be like the fun parent, I suppose. Aita for this? Edit, for everyone saying I'm just a Disneyland dad, that isn't the case. He has structure over here too. We just do a lot of the things together and I give him to be a kid. We study together, clean together, cook together. We even make figures and maps for our D&D campaigns together, and we work out together. I didn't mention it in the original post because I didn't know the precedent here was useless fathers. But here you go. Comments. Commenter 1. The question for me is whether she had to deal with any knock-on effects from you allowing him to stay up late. Did he happily go back to the bedtime he has at hers after a one-off late night? Or did it turn into a fight that wouldn't have happened if he'd not had that break-in routine? Whether or not you're an AHIMO very much depends on whether she just disagrees with your decisions, or whether your decisions cause tangible problems that she has to deal with. Commenter 2. You gave your son an age-appropriate reward that included extra bonding time between the two of you, and in a time frame that allowed him to easily recover to his normal sleep schedule before it would have any significant impact on him. NTA. Kids need fun every once in a while. Heck, so do we adults. This isn't you being the fun parent. This is your ex being an overly controlling, overly strict, no fun parent. Commenter 3 NTA. He did right and got a reward. Just remember, it's easy to demonize the manager mom, but she's a good part of the reason he's doing okay in school and is motivated to study. Talk up your ex. Don't say little things here and there about her style. Yes, she could probably use some chill. That's valid. But it's so easy to make her look bad. But in reality, he really needs both of you. She definitely overreacted, no lie. Commenter 4 NTA. A strict 9 p.m. bedtime for a 13-year-old is absurd. Either way, staying up late sometimes isn't going to ruin his sleep schedule stories. Number 23. Aita for telling a friend I can't come to her wedding. She is planning a color-themed wedding and wants all her guests to wear white. My husband likes black and doesn't even own a white shirt. I don't have a white dress or shoes. I had to tell her that if she does this, we won't be able to attend. We're on fixed incomes and can't afford to buy new clothing and shoes for somebody else's wedding. Her mother is against her plan too. She thinks it's unfair to require a particular color unless a person is in the wedding party. Friend just snaps that you have a year to save up and thinks I'm being a bad friend. I've called men's rental shops and we can't find a white suit for rent for less than $75. I'm sure I'll need as much or more for my dress and shoes. And that's on top of shower and wedding presents. I don't think I'm TA for RSVPing with regrets when it's time. What do y'all think? Verdict. No assholes. Here update. For all of you who just think I'm fishing for an excuse not to go, that is not true at all. We're on disability, and income is a big issue for us. We are still going to send them a nice wedding and shower gift. And that's going to stretch us too. Because one place setting of her china and crystal is $150 a pop. This is not something we just don't want to do. Whenever I'm asked to be somebody's bridesmaid, I have to regretfully decline too. Just can't afford a dress, shoes, hair, makeup, manicure, a share of the shower and bachelorette costs and gifts. I was upset when I heard about this because I knew we'd have to decline. We already went to her engagement party and bought a gift for that. There are limits to what we can afford. Believe me, we're disappointed too. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Why wouldn't you find these clothes at a consignment store? This really shouldn't be that hard. Did you even check consignment stores or any other very cheap or free options gift groups on Facebook, Charity, Family and Friends, Vinted, etc.? Reply. I already buy most of our wardrobe at consignment and eBay. The only white formals I saw at my usual haunts were wedding dresses. She's a longtime friend, but all caught up in Instagram, influencers, and want my wedding to be unique. She was talking about the bridal party before he even proposed. How much fun we'd all have hanging out together at the Bachelorette Myrtle Beach weekend. By the way, when I told her to please not ask me because I can't afford it, I think part of this is she is still pissed about that. I'd love to, but just can't. She went off on me to her mom, which is how I know her mom disapproves. Her sister called me afterward and apologized to me for both of them. Sis and mom told her it was a bad idea that will cause them to lose guests. And her photos will look like awful if everything is all one color. My husband told me to just look for something for me and he will just not go, which will piss her off too. The wedding is next year, so maybe she will come back down to earth by then. Commenter 2, do you even like your friend? You sound very resentful. If this actually was about money, I'd understand it a little, but your responses are dripping with content. She doesn't need to change her whole plan just because you don't like the idea. That's a ridiculous ask. Especially from a so-called friend. Reply. She has undergone a crazy personality change ever since she got engaged. She was talking wedding before he even proposed. The wedding is next year, but she went out and created her wedding registry the same week she got engaged. She had a big engagement party, and has planned all sorts of activities for the next year. I am happy for her, but think some of her expectations are unreasonable. Like the one-color wedding, she wants her bridesmaids to buy their dresses, which will just hang in the closet for the next year. She's 34 and is pissed because her parents aren't chipping in more for her costs. It's getting out of hand. We are longtime friends, but I think it is her who is losing sight of this. She knows my situation, commenter 3. NTA for not going, you can make some excuse, but if people are telling her how to plan her own wedding, then they would be TA. Reply, it's not her plans, it's her expectations. She got hopping mad when I said to please not ask me to be in the wedding. She wanted me for matron, and her helper for planning. And I said to please not ask me to be in the bridal party. I will gladly help her plan. She has a busy career while I'm home and can make calls, etc. The bridesmaid dress she picked already is $200 and the shoes are almost another $100. That's just the clothes. She wants a bach in Myrtle Beach and a shower with catered sushi. Update, friend got engaged and started planning her wedding. She was in her 30s, and it was not her first wedding, before everybody squeals. I do not think it's wrong for a repeat bride to have a big formal wedding. That is not the issue. What I do feel was that some of her expectations were unreasonable. Given her age and the ages and life circumstances of her friends, she got pissed with me right from the start. I declined being a bridesmaid because I'm on disability and didn't think I could afford the dress, a share of the shower and the bachelorette party, plus shower and wedding gifts. I was also afraid my disability would inconvenience her because I have chronic pain, and I never know how I'm going to feel from one day to the next. It makes trying to plan anything a pain in the ass. There was a high chance that I'd let her down on helping with wedding work and going to appointments. I thought she'd understand, but she was majorly pissed. She said I had a year to save up for my wedding attire. I have an opinion on that, but kept it to myself and apologized for disappointing her. She wanted a destination bachelorette party. The bridesmaids and her friends are all married with kids. I don't think it was reasonable to expect us to head off for a week at Myrtle Beach. A weekend, sure, but not an entire week. The expense was another no-go for me. I did what I could to support her. We attended her engagement party and brought a gift, which wasn't cheap. Read on. She registered for China, crystal, the works. I know that's not a faux pas, but she had a full set from her first wedding. She just wanted new stuff. This is where I admit that I might be the lower anatomical blowhole. I feel that asking her friends for such pricey gifts for the second wedding was unfair. Okay, now on for the real big deal. 6 months from the wedding, she decided to ask her guests to dress in all-white formal attire. I told her that if she did that, we wouldn't be able to come. Now, I have cocktail and formal clothing, but not in all white. My husband likes black and doesn't even own a white shirt. That meant a new suit and shoes for him. A new evening gown for me. If I could afford this, I could have been her bridesmaid. I did make an effort, though. I called men's formal wear shops, and renting a white suit for him would cost around $75. I looked at consignment stores for an evening gown, and the only all-white long dresses were wedding gowns. Her mom and sister tried to talk her out of this. Her mom thought, and I agree, that requiring a particular color isn't a fair ask, unless a person is in the wedding party. My husband said he'd just stay home and let me go, and making a simple long dress wouldn't bust our budget. My friend, the bride, told me I was a shitty friend, not to bother, and ended our friendship. I'm still friends with her mother and sister. Her mother was mortified about this and apologized. Of course, it's not their fault. Her sister told me her wedding photos look like disembodied heads floating in a white sea. I don't have issues with her wedding her rules, but brides should be prepared to get declines if her rules result in impractical expenses to her guests. She ended our entire friendship over it. All the years meant nothing against one day of it. That is a shame. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. These stories where the friendship ends over the wedding. Were there no signs of these people being shitty friends before? Do some PPL really lose all sensibilities when it comes to weddings? Reply. She's always been a bit of a diva, and I am quite a bit older than she is, but she's never acted this self-centered. She was a great friend, the kind who organizes birthday parties for people and such. At first I put the bridezilla behavior down to her having had such a bad first marriage. Maybe Pinterest and white lace poisoned her mind. Commenter 2, was her husband in a white suit too? Maybe he could wear it when he divorces her. Because, in the words of Good Charlotte, I rock a lawsuit when I'm going to court, a white suit when I'm getting divorced, a black suit at the funeral home, and my birthday suit when I'm home alone. Reply white tux. He looked like an ice cream cone in the wedding pics. Stories number 24. My 29. GF24F of almost 1 year told my son 4M to call her mommy behind my back. I was married to the most amazing woman 6 years ago. We had been dating for 2 years before we got married. She got pregnant after graduating from college. We were both happy. This is what we had wanted. Our son was born. Life was awesome, 10 months after his birth. While on a trip to get some stuff for the house, her car collided with 2 others. Nothing could be done. Her ribs broke inwards. Her lungs were crushed. She died by the time the ambulance came. Life was a bitch. Suddenly the whole world had collapsed on me. I was in shock. The therapy didn't help. The only thing that kept me going was my son. He was barely 10 months old, but he lived. I forgot about everything else in life and functioned just as a father. I didn't go out. I ignored my friends, killed my social life altogether. Still, I was proud of what I had accomplished as a single father. Sure, there were a few scares here and there, but overall it was great. My son was healthy and happy. Money was never a problem for me. It still hurt like a bitch inside. I literally felt no temptation to meet anybody else. I was still recovering from it all, I guess. Then I started going out a little. My sister offered to take care of my son. She was great with him, so I felt comfortable. I got back in touch with my friends. I still retained my good physique. There wasn't much to do at home, so I'd just work out. I had started taking care of myself too. I got used a little to the female attention. After blowing off the initial 4-5 dates, I know it's bad, but I just couldn't go ahead with them then. I started meeting other women. I'd just have casual dates with these women, but I'd turn them down before anything physical happened. It took me a long time to even kiss a girl again. On this cycle, I met Natalie, random alias here. She was an exceptionally beautiful girl who worked in my industry. Loved that I was a single father and sympathized with my loss. She was a great person and had an awesome personality. I found something special about her, so I stuck with her. It took us almost a month to have sex, but she was very patient with me. I had told her up front that meeting my son is not something that is happening very soon. She understood. We had a great relationship. She complained a few times about me spending a lot of time with my son, and barely enough with her. But we made it work after talking about the issue. She only met my son for the first time 2 months ago. I brought her along when we were at the park. She said hi, and he just looked up and sorta laughed. He's 4 and he's able to articulate properly. At least small words and greetings, so I told him to say hello. He said that. And then the attention was back to the racket and the ball. She was clearly liked him. I know she wasn't feigning interest, because even when I went a bit away and was busy with something else, she was trying to play with him and interact with him a lot. That was supposed to be a happy moment, but seeing him with her reminded me of my wife. And it hurt like a bitch again. But I got over it, so I gradually increased their time together. We still met outside most of the time and not that much inside. We spent the daytime at her place, and late night she would come over to mine when my son was asleep. After a point, I felt a little comfortable leaving them alone together. So this week my sister was visiting in town. My son absolutely adores her. She was his first female contact. I had to leave, take an overnight flight to get some work stuff sorted out. So she stayed at my place. Natalie calls me in the morning and tells me that she wants to visit my son. She's been visiting him a lot, so I think it's okay. When I come back, this is what my sister worriedly tells me. Natalie came around in the morning. She spent around an hour with my son and my sister. They're good friends and get along very well. So my sister got up to make something for them and went into the kitchen, while Natalie and my son were in the living room. He was on the floor playing with his toys. I guess, as soon as my sister goes into the kitchen, Natalie picks up my son onto her lap. My sister tells me that she heard her trying to get him to call her mommy. He usually calls her by a shortened version of her name, which also makes him giggle for some reason. So he said that, and he giggled. My sister leant to see what they were doing, and according to her, my girlfriend was saying to him, "No, not the name that my son has for her, mommy," and repeating that again till my son said it. Then she kept on saying, "I'm your mommy, mommy," and more like that. My sister was alarmed but didn't say anything. He's done that with her too, but she always brought up a picture of his mother to show him. So he stopped calling her that. I have always told him that the angel in the picture is mommy. It took him time, but he stopped calling anyone else mommy. I had told my girlfriend about this before, and she had agreed. I had told her that it was important to me that my son know who his real mother was. She said she understood, and now here I am, angry, frustrated, enraged, and feeling a bit betrayed. I don't know how long this has been going on. I haven't said anything about it to her. She knows I'm pissed about something. We have our 1 year together completing in 20 days. I had big plans for that. Now, I don't know what to do. You guys got any ideas? Guys, this is not about me moving on from my wife. This is about my son's mother. That's all. I'll talk to her about this. I don't want to break up, but I do want her to know that she is fucked up colossally, and that this will set back our relationship. I'll try and be delicate also. Most replies now are negative and aggressive. So I'll hop off Reddit, so no point posting anymore. There are other people who need your advice. Thanks for the advice you have given me. I promise I will update. TLDR. GF has been trying to make my son call her mommy, while I had established that he was always to know who his real mother was. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Have you two talked about having more children? Because I feel like Natalie really wants to be a mom. Confront her about this and ask her why she's insistent on your son calling her mommy. Reply, she wants children but wants to finish grad school first. I had told her very seriously about how I really want him to know who his real mother is, and that there'll be no substitute for her. Not sure how I confront her about the one boundary that I was dead serious about, that she ended up breaking. I know that this isn't coming across as a very serious problem to others, but this was one thing I was really scared about. And it's a terrible betrayal on her front. I'll just end up screaming my head off. I'm really pissed by her doing what she did. And that too behind my back. Commenter 2. Try to talk to her about it calmly, ask her if it's true, and explain again to her that you would like for her to be a very important part of his life. But you really don't want him to call her mommy. Do you think she did it for a bad reason? Or do you think she was just momentarily misguided in her actions because she cares about you both so much? If you address this with her by attacking her and telling her what her place is, I think it's the end. If you keep it calm and reassure her that she too had an important place in your life, but you feel you owe this one thing to his mother, she will very likely get on your side about it and never do it again. Reply, I'm mad because it was a line crossed. It may have happened before when she was alone too. It is a huge breach of my trust. We agreed on this beforehand. And now she goes and does this behind my back. Her saying to my son, I'm your mommy, that hurt me a lot. Now I feel I can't trust her with my son alone. Commenter 3. I don't think you should be together. Nowhere in your text does it say that you love her or that you decisively want her in your life. You still love your wife and she's just sort of a pleasant substitute. I'm sure you like her and you care about her, but until you let go of your wife, you'll be hurting her and your son eventually. Can you give her 100%? If not, you know what you have to do. You said about your wife, the most amazing woman in the world. You didn't describe Natalie anywhere near that, sorry. I usually support people trying to work things out, but in your case I really don't see it. Don't force yourself to be with someone in the future either. You will feel when your mind and soul are ready, and that you will start looking at women differently, with more than rational and analytical interest. Reply, I want to move on with my life. We have a great relationship. I had something really monumental planned for us in our 1-year anniversary. In the light of what has happened, can you really blame me for not posting my love for her all over the text? I'm mad at her right now and am feeling betrayed. After what she did, I'm not in the correct mindset to call her the most amazing woman. I will never be able to completely forget me wife. Why? Because I have my son with me. He was our son, and he will always be a living reminder of my wife. I was young, and that affected me deeply. Update, hey guys. Just thought I'd quickly update you on what happened between my girlfriend and me. Basically, I talked to her. She did agree that this had indeed happened, so she didn't deny it. That was a good thing. I asked her why she did it. She gave the reason that she always felt like an extra in my life. She thought that we could be closer if we tried to be family. I explained to her, in a calm, composed manner, that we can't just pretend to be a family, and that her trying to make a permanent bond with my 4-year-old son, whom she'd known only for 2 months, wasn't quite the way to do it. She cried and apologized. Nevertheless, this was a huge setback in our relationship. It's difficult to look at things the same way after what happened. Our big anniversary surprise is canceled. I'll make up for it sometime later. We are still dating, but she isn't going to meet my son anytime soon. This meant that we'd be spending less nights together. But she understood. I'm also going to see a child therapist to get this mommy thing sorted out once and for all, so that my son isn't emotionally affected. For those of you saying that what she did was 100% right, it wasn't. My girlfriend and I are dating. She has known my son only for 2 months. If a mommy bond were to form right now and we were to break up, it'll affect my 4-year-old too. That'll have to wait for marriage, which honestly is something I have mentally pushed back for now. It'll take time to get the trust back with her. TLDR, talk to her. We're still dating. But she's not allowed anywhere near my son for some time now. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, glad to heat. She realized it was wrong. But are you sure you guys are a good match right now? She seems awfully desperate for something more, which you don't sound like you are looking for yet. Reply, I know everyone seems to be suggesting that I break up with her, but I love her. She crossed a big line that she was not supposed to behind my back. I can't ignore that. I know she wants more and I am trying my hardest, but it is difficult when I have a son. She hopefully understands that, yeah. She might think that I am too much to handle for her. She might break up with me. I can't prevent that, but if she doesn't, she's a keeper. Call it naivete. But I think the reason she gave for doing what she did checked out. It corresponded with a lot of things she had said earlier, but she needs to understand that we can only be a family when we are truly a family, a marriage, so that'll have to wait. Right now, trust is the important thing that needs attention. If I can get that back, I don't think we'll have many problems. I am not going to break up with her. Had she denied what she did for 1 second, I would have walked out of there and never looked back. But she accepted her mistake and was ready to face the consequences a little time away from my son. That's one positive thing at least. Update 2. I know all of you guys would be expecting a wonderful update with all of us becoming one big happy family. Sorry, but I got bitch slapped by life since a couple of weeks ago. She kept pushing me again and again over visiting my son. I told her no firmly, but she kept on being passive-aggressive. All I wanted was a little more time, but she pushed me to a limit. She said that my son was missing her, he was not, and that I'm doing him a disservice by keeping her out of his life, and that I'm a horrible parent and I can't raise my son alone. We had a big fight over it, and we broke up. She broke down and crawled back and apologized, but things were never going to be the same. Life fucking sucks. TLDR. Girlfriend kept pushing me over and over again to let her meet my son. We broke up over it. Final update. Hello everyone. Almost a year ago, I came here to talk about my life going upside down. I lost a great girlfriend. Someone I thought I could finally trust and allow into my son's life. That did not go well. Anyway, that time of my life was very difficult. But I really got some great perspective from the people on here. So I just wanted to thank you all once again. I feel like I'm in a really good position in my life right now. And everything feels awesome. I've put all the pieces together. And my son and I are really happy. He's doing great and is healthy. So yeah, this was more of a thank you rather than update. But I really mean it. I was really confused, and some of the advice I got on here was instrumental in sorting that mess out. Thanks, Reddit. Take care. P.S. I'm thinking of getting us a dog. What do you guys think of border collies? TLDR, a year later, my son and I are both doing much better. I've moved on and am at a much stable position in life. Thank you to all those who helped me when my life was a mess. Stories number 25, my trip across the country that left me sitting alone when my boyfriend, Ryan, told me we were flying across the country for his college friend's wedding. I was genuinely excited. I'd never been to Oregon before, and I thought it'd be a nice little getaway. New scenery, new memories, maybe even a chance to get closer to his circle of friends. I didn't know the bride or groom personally, but Ryan had been talking about this wedding for months, so I figured it'd be special for him. I was wrong about what it would mean for me. Though we arrived 2 days before the wedding, and that's when Ryan casually mentioned something that made my stomach twist. Apparently, he'd be getting ready with the groom and the rest of the guys, while I'd be on my own. Not just that, he'd be sitting at the head table during the reception, and I'd be at a different table with people I didn't know. When I asked him why, he said, "It's just how the groom wants it. He's having all his closest friends sit beside him. Don't take it personally." I wanted to. Though, see, I don't do well in big social settings. I've always struggled with it, ever since I was a kid. My therapist thinks I might be on the spectrum somewhere, though I've never been formally diagnosed. Socializing feels like trying to read a book in a language I don't understand. Every word I say comes out weird, like it's written in the wrong font. I told Ryan that I felt anxious about the idea of showing up alone, sitting with strangers, and being separated from him all night. He hugged me and said, "You'll be fine. Everyone there will be nice." But he didn't get it. Nice doesn't mean safe. The morning of the wedding, I got ready in silence. Ryan was already gone to meet the groom. I stared at myself in the mirror, adjusting my dress for the 10th time, trying to quiet the pounding in my chest. My makeup looked fine, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. When I arrived at the venue, the air felt heavy with perfume and chatter. Everyone seemed to know someone I didn't. The ushers didn't know where to seat me at first. And when I finally sat down, I felt like a misplaced puzzle piece. The ceremony itself was beautiful. Sunlight spilling through tall glass windows, the bride's gown catching light like a wave. But I barely remember the vows. My mind was busy counting the minutes until I could leave. At the reception, my assigned table was at the far end of the room. The people sitting there were all part of a friend group. Inside jokes flying across the table while I smiled politely, nodding like I was part of the background. When someone asked how I knew the couple, I stumbled over my words and ended up just saying, "I'm with Ryan. He's one of the groomsmen." They all smiled politely and went back to their conversation. Dinner felt endless. 2 hours of clinking glasses, laughter I couldn't join in, and waiters clearing plates I barely touched. I wanted to disappear. When the music started, Ryan was still glued to the groom's table. He waved at me once across the room, but it felt like a wave from a stranger. I sat there watching couples dance, friends taking selfies, people singing along to songs I didn't even recognize. My phone battery was almost dead, so I couldn't even fake busy myself scrolling. I just sat. By the time Ryan finally came over, it was nearly midnight. He looked so happy, sweaty from dancing, tie loosened, cheeks flushed. "Hey babe, you doing okay?" he asked. I wanted to say no. I wanted to tell him that I'd spent the whole night feeling invisible, that I'd questioned every word I said, every glance I gave, but instead I just smiled and said, "Yeah, it's fine." It wasn't. When we got back to the hotel, I went straight to the bathroom and just sat on the edge of the tub. Staring at the floor, I wasn't angry anymore, just empty. I'd built up so much dread for something that ended up being nothing. A few hours of quiet awkwardness and forced smiles. The next morning, Ryan apologized. He said he didn't realize how isolating it would be for me. He admitted that another couple had also been frustrated by the last-minute seating changes. That made me feel a little less crazy. Like maybe I wasn't overreacting after all. It's weird, though, how something so small can stick with you. It wasn't the wedding that bothered me. It was how invisible I felt in the middle of a room full of people. If I'm honest, I know Ryan didn't do it out of malice. He was caught up in his friend's big day, but it still hurt. I wish I'd had the courage to tell him before how much these things affect me. The wedding's over now, and I survived. That's something. I didn't make any friends, didn't join the dance floor, didn't magically overcome my anxiety. But I showed up. I sat through it. I made it to the end without falling apart. And maybe that's a small victory no one else noticed. But I did. Update. It's been about a week since we got back from the wedding, and I've had a lot of time to sit with how I felt that night, and how I still feel now. At first, I thought I'd just get over it, that it was one of those awkward social experiences you just chalk up as life stuff and move on from. But the more I replayed it in my mind, the more I realized it wasn't just about being alone at a wedding. It was about feeling dismissed by someone I thought understood me best. When Ryan and I got back home, everything was fine on the surface. He unpacked our suitcases, ordered takeout, and put on a movie, but I couldn't focus. Every time he smiled at me or tried to act normal, I felt this quiet ache in my chest, like something between us had shifted. Even if he didn't see it yet, a few days later, we finally talked about it. Really talked. We were sitting on the couch, and I told him everything. How anxious I'd felt, how small and out of place I'd been the entire time, how I'd spent hours counting down minutes instead of enjoying myself. At first, he just listened, nodding, but then he sighed and said, "You could have tried to talk to people, you know. Everyone said they were nice." That one sentence nearly broke me, because it wasn't about them being nice. It was about me not having the ability to push through that fear like other people can. It's like telling someone with a broken leg they could have just walked it off. I know Ryan didn't mean to hurt me with it, but it still felt like he didn't get it. I told him that. I told him I didn't expect him to fix me or even make me the center of attention. I just wanted him to be there with me, to make me feel like I wasn't an afterthought. He went quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I didn't realize how much this kind of stuff affects you. I just thought you didn't like parties." We ended up talking for hours that night. It wasn't some big dramatic argument, but more like an overdue unraveling. I explained how social anxiety feels like being locked in a glass box. You can see everyone else living freely, but you can't reach out without that panic closing in around you. He finally seemed to understand that this wasn't just me being shy. The next morning, he actually sat down and asked if I'd be willing to see a specialist again, to see if I could get a proper evaluation for autism or social anxiety disorder. I was hesitant at first, but honestly, it felt nice that he cared enough to bring it up. Since then, Ryan's been different in subtle ways. He started asking me before we go places, "Do you want me to stay close, or are you okay mingling a bit?" He makes sure I'm included in conversations, introduces me when we meet new people instead of just assuming I'll jump in, and that small change, it's meant everything. But here's the part I didn't expect. That wedding ended up teaching me more about myself than it did about Ryan. I realized that I've spent so much of my life trying to hide my discomfort instead of owning it, pretending to be fine until I collapse later in private. I've been so focused on not making anyone else uncomfortable that I forget to take care of myself in the process. That night at the wedding, while I sat alone, I remember staring at the dance floor and watching this older couple, probably in their late 60s, dancing together like the world didn't exist. They weren't even dancing well, they were just happy. And I thought about how much I wanted that someday. To be that free, that unafraid of being seen. Since we've been home, I've been taking small steps toward that. I've started journaling again. I signed up for a small art class at the community center. It's only once a week, but it's something. The first class was awkward. My hands trembled the entire time, and I barely spoke to anyone. But I stayed, I showed up, and that's what I keep telling myself. Showing up counts. I also reached out to one of Ryan's friends from the wedding, a girl named Haley who sat near me at the table. I found her on Instagram and messaged her to thank her for being kind when I was clearly nervous. She replied almost immediately, and said she actually felt out of place too, because she didn't know half the guests. We ended up chatting for a while, and she invited me for coffee next time she's in town. That felt like a small win. Ryan and I are okay now, better actually. He's been trying harder to meet me where I am emotionally instead of dragging me into situations I'm not ready for. And I'm learning to speak up before I reach that breaking point. I guess what I've learned is that relationships aren't about reading each other's minds. They're about choosing to listen, even when it's uncomfortable. That wedding might have felt like one of the loneliest nights of my life, but in a strange way, it opened up space for more honesty between us. Maybe that's the gift in all of it. The quiet kind that doesn't show up in photos or speeches, but in the way someone learns to hold your hand differently after they've finally heard you. Final update. It's been almost 3 months since that wedding, and it's strange how something that felt so raw at the time has slowly settled into something almost peaceful. Like a bruise that doesn't ache anymore but still reminds you how it got there. Life feels more normal again, but I've noticed subtle changes, both in myself and in my relationship with Ryan. A couple of weeks after my last update, I finally went to see a therapist who specializes in social anxiety and neurodivergence. It took me a lot to make the appointment. I almost canceled it twice. The morning of, I sat in my car outside the building for a full 15 minutes before walking in, but I did it. The first few sessions were rough, talking about myself that openly made me feel exposed, like I was showing a stranger the messy parts I usually keep hidden under sarcasm and polite smiles. But she was kind and patient, and she didn't rush me. After several sessions, she gently told me that while she couldn't give an official autism diagnosis yet, my symptoms aligned closely with social anxiety disorder and possibly elements of ASD that could be explored further. Hearing it put into words, a name for what I'd been feeling my entire life, was both terrifying and freeing. For once, I didn't feel like I was just broken or overly sensitive. There was a reason my brain worked differently. When I told Ryan, he didn't say much at first. He just hugged me tight and long later that night. He admitted that he'd been reading up on social anxiety and autism spectrum traits. Articles, Reddit threads, even YouTube videos about how to be more supportive. That meant more to me than any apology ever could. Since then, he's become more mindful. When we go out, he checks in beforehand. Do you want a quiet corner or somewhere busier? When we have plans with friends, he lets me know who's coming, what to expect, and gives me space to say no without guilt. It's not perfect. Sometimes he forgets. But I see the effort, and that's everything. And me? I'm trying too. I've been pushing myself to engage a little more instead of withdrawing completely. It's baby steps. Asking a coworker how their weekend was. Saying hi first to the barista. Making small talk at my art class instead of sitting silently. I still stumble, still blush and stutter. But I'm learning that awkward doesn't mean bad. It just means human. The art class has actually become one of the best parts of my week. It's quiet, no pressure, and the people there are gentle in the best way. I even made a friend, her name's Leah, and she's this warm, Chatty woman who somehow never makes me feel overwhelmed. She gets that I need silence sometimes. We've started meeting for coffee after class, mostly sitting in comfortable quiet with sketchbooks open between us. Ryan's also met her once. The three of us went to a little food truck park downtown, and I watched him actually pause mid-sentence to make sure I was following the conversation. It was such a small thing, but it hit me so deeply. He's learning my pace, just like I'm learning his and about the wedding. Funny enough, the bride, Samantha, sent out photos to everyone recently. When I looked through them, I saw one of me sitting alone at the reception table, half smiling, looking a little lost. For a moment, I felt that familiar pang in my chest. But then I kept scrolling and saw another picture, one I hadn't realized was taken. It was Ryan and me at the very end of the night. Dancing together, I'd been exhausted, barefoot, my hair coming undone, but I was smiling genuinely, leaning against him. It reminded me that even though parts of that night hurt, it didn't define everything. There were still good moments. I just couldn't see them through the noise of my own anxiety back then. Ryan and I have talked about going to therapy together soon. Not because things are bad, but because we both want to keep learning how to communicate better. For the first time in a long while, that idea doesn't scare me. I also told him something I'd been holding back for months, that I almost didn't go to that wedding at all. I was this close to faking an illness just to stay home. He went quiet, looked at me and said, "I'm glad you came, even if it sucked for you. I'm glad you were there, and weirdly enough I am too, because if I hadn't gone, I think we'd still be pretending everything was fine." Him thinking I just didn't like parties, me pretending my silence was normal. That night forced both of us to stop pretending. The loneliness I felt there taught me something vital. Being seen doesn't always mean being surrounded by people. Sometimes it means finding one person who actually looks at you and says, "I see how hard this is for you, and I'm not going anywhere." If anyone reading this is like me, afraid of crowds, terrified of small talk, always second-guessing your place in a room, please know this: you're not broken. You're just wired a little differently, and that's okay. You don't have to turn yourself inside out to fit. The right people will meet you halfway. As for me, I'm still learning how to meet myself halfway too. One slow step at a time. So yeah, what started as a miserable trip across the country ended up being the thing that quietly changed everything. Not in a big cinematic way, but in the real way. The kind that builds a softer, steadier version of yourself from the pieces you thought didn't fit anywhere. My dad's wife told everyone she has cancer, but I don't believe her. When I say my relationship with my dad's wife, Marlene, is complicated, I mean it in the deepest sense of the word. She married my dad 5 years ago, and ever since then, she's made every family interaction a circus. I tried at first to be cordial, polite dinners, forced smiles at holidays, casual "how are you" texts. But over time, she made it clear that she wanted to replace my mom, not coexist with her memory. My parents divorced when I was 14. My mom, Denise, raised me mostly on her own. My dad, Greg, was still in my life, but he wasn't consistent. He'd show up for birthdays and some weekends. But as I got older, his involvement faded. When I was 19, he started dating Marlene, and by 21, they were married. She was loud, overly confident, and had a strange need to dominate every conversation. The first time I met her, she called me sweetheart and told me, "You finally have a real woman in your life to look after you." My mom was alive and well at that point. I remember just blinking at her, thinking she must have meant it as a joke. Spoiler, she didn't. Over the years, she's done plenty of manipulative things. She told my dad I refused to invite her to my college graduation. I did. She RSVP'd, then never showed. She once announced on Facebook that I was engaged before I had even told my family. When I called her out, she deleted the post and said she just wanted to be part of the moment. Fast forward to this year, I'm 27 now, married to my husband Luke, and we live about 2 hours away from my dad and Marlene. My relationship with my dad is strained. We talk occasionally, but I keep my distance for my own sanity. Then, a month ago, Marlene texted me. It was a long message about how she'd been to the doctor, gotten life-changing news, and how she needed family support during this difficult time. I immediately texted back asking what was wrong. She replied, "I have cancer." I felt bad, genuinely. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. So I called her. She picked up sobbing, saying the doctors had found something and that it was really bad. I asked what kind of cancer, what stage, what treatment plan. But her answers were vague. "It's complicated," she said. "They're still figuring it out. That was the first red flag. The second came a week later, when my dad called saying Marlene couldn't talk about her diagnosis because it was too emotional, but that she was already planning a healing retreat with some holistic group. He also mentioned she was asking family to donate to a GoFundMe to help with treatments. I asked if he'd seen any official medical documents or test results. He hesitated and said, no, but she wouldn't lie about this, except she would. Marlene has a long history of attention-seeking. 3 years ago, she claimed to have a rare autoimmune disorder that somehow never required medication. Before that, she swore she had nerve damage from a car accident that didn't happen. And each time she'd soak up the sympathy, post online about her struggles, and then, conveniently, recover after a few months. So I decided to do some digging. I didn't want to accuse her unfairly, but I also didn't want to be manipulated again. I called her friend Paula, who she said had driven her to appointments. Paula was confused and said, Marlene asked me to say that if anyone called, she's been going to the spa every week. Not a clinic. That's when my stomach dropped. I confronted my dad about it the next day. He got defensive, saying, she's sick, Sarah. You just don't understand her pain. I told him I wasn't heartless, but that if she really had cancer, there should be some kind of paper trail. Doctors, appointments, prescriptions. He hung up on me. 2 weeks later, Marlene posted a photo on Facebook. She was bald, wearing a headscarf, captioned, fighting the hardest battle of my life. Please keep me in your prayers, everyone commented with, stay strong. You got this. Sending love. But the thing is, I noticed the photo wasn't new. It was from a Halloween costume 2 years ago, when she dressed as 11 from Stranger Things. Same scarf, same outfit, same lighting. That's when I lost it. I called her and told her point blank that I didn't believe her. I said, you're lying. You're using cancer for attention. And that's disgusting, she gasped dramatically and said, how dare you accuse a dying woman of lying? I told her that if she wanted people to believe her, she should show proof, not recycled photos and vague stories. My dad called an hour later, furious. He yelled that I was cruel and heartless, and that Marlene was devastated by my accusation. I told him I didn't care anymore. I was done entertaining her games. I even said, if she really has cancer, I hope she gets the help she needs. But if she doesn't, then she needs therapy. Not attention. I hung up, shaking with anger. Luke was sitting beside me and just said, you did what needed to be done. A few days later, my dad texted saying Marlene was too sick to talk but wanted me to know she forgave me. That same week, my aunt, Dad's sister, messaged me privately saying she didn't believe Marlene either. Apparently, she'd tried to get donations from extended family too. But when my aunt asked for a doctor's contact, Marlene blocked her. Now the family's split. Half think I'm a monster for hurting a dying woman. The other half quietly agrees something's off. I haven't spoken to my dad since the fight. The weird part? It's been 6 weeks, and there's still no update on what kind of cancer she has. No chemo appointments, no hair loss, except that scarf picture. She just posts emotional quotes about surviving and staying strong. Maybe I sound cold. Maybe I should have been gentler. But after years of her lies and manipulation, I just couldn't pretend anymore. If she's truly sick, I'll own my guilt and apologize someday. But if she's lying, and everything points that way, then I'm not going to feed into her need for drama at the expense of everyone else's empathy. At this point, I don't even know how to rebuild anything with my dad. Because the truth is, if he can't see through her lies by now, maybe he doesn't want to. About a month after that blow-up with my dad and Marlene, things went pretty quiet. No texts, no calls, no new drama from their end. It almost felt eerie, like the silence after a storm. But you know the air's still thick with tension. Then, right before Thanksgiving, my cousin Jenna sent me a screenshot. Marlene had posted another update on Facebook. This one said, my tumor has shrunk miraculously. I knew faith and positive energy could heal me. Thank you to everyone who donated to my GoFundMe. You saved my life. She included a photo of herself at a brunch place, grinning with a mimosa, bald head covered by that same pink scarf again. The comment section was full of praise God, and so happy for you. And you're such an inspiration. But one stuck out. It was from my Aunt Linda, my dad's sister. Glad to hear you're better, Marlene. What type of cancer did you have again? Curious since you recovered so quickly. No response. An hour later, the entire post vanished. That was the crack that made everything unravel. Apparently, my Aunt Linda had finally had enough and decided to do a little investigating of her own. She called the hospital Marlene claimed she was being treated at. No record of a patient by that name. She also called the doctor's office Marlene had mentioned once, and they said the same thing, so Linda called my dad directly. She told me later that he was defensive at first, saying maybe Marlene was using a different name or keeping things private. But then Linda told him about the GoFundMe. She had screenshots of Marlene asking family friends to contribute thousands of dollars for experimental treatment. That was when something shifted in my dad. A few days later, he called me. It was the first time I'd heard his voice since our argument. He sounded broken. He started by saying, "Sarah, I think you were right." He explained that after Linda confronted him, he asked Marlene to show him her medical paperwork, diagnosis, prescriptions, anything. She refused, saying he was doubting her during her most vulnerable time. He pressed harder, and she finally admitted, through tears, that she had exaggerated her illness. She claimed she thought she had cancer after feeling symptoms and seeing something concerning on a scan, but she didn't want to tell anyone until it was confirmed, so she just went with her gut. Then, once people started showing sympathy, she didn't know how to stop. My dad was devastated. He told me she'd raised nearly $8,000 through her GoFundMe, plus countless cash donations from family friends, and when he demanded to know where the money went, she said it was gone, used for retreats and healing sessions. Translation: vacations and spa trips. Apparently she stormed out of the house when he called her a liar. She went to stay with her sister in another state, to get space from the toxicity. My dad was left alone, embarrassed, and financially drained. I wish I could say I felt vindicated, that I finally got some kind of satisfaction out of being right. But honestly, I just felt tired. Tired of the drama. Tired of the manipulation. Tired of watching my dad destroy himself for someone who clearly didn't care about anyone but herself. When I went to visit him the following weekend, he looked 10 years older. His voice was quiet when he said, "I'm sorry for not believing you." We sat on the porch for hours that day. He told me he felt stupid. That deep down, he'd always known something was off but didn't want to admit it because he didn't want to be alone again. I understood that. My dad's never been good at being by himself. He promised to shut down the GoFundMe and contact everyone who donated. He even offered to pay back what he could from his own savings. But what really stuck with me was when he said, "She made me doubt my own daughter. I'll never forgive myself for that." After that, we started rebuilding slowly. We talk every few days now. Small stuff like what I'm cooking, what game Luke and I are watching, how his new therapy sessions are going. He's been going to a counselor, trying to unpack why he keeps letting people like Marlene control him. As for Marlene, she's still out there somewhere, probably reinventing herself as a survivor of something else. My aunt says she's been spotted on Facebook under a new account, selling healing crystals and talking about mind-body alignment. The craziest part? She still hasn't publicly admitted the truth. She just vanished one day and left everyone believing she miraculously healed. My dad thought about posting something to clear the air, but I told him to let it go. Anyone who knows her history will eventually put the pieces together. The last time we talked about her, he said, "You know, I used to think you didn't like her because she wasn't your mom, but now I realize you just saw through her before the rest of us did." That hit me hard. I don't hate Marlene anymore. I just pity her. The kind of person who needs to fake cancer to feel loved isn't happy. They're hollow. If anything, this entire mess brought my dad and me closer. We've rebuilt trust, even if it's fragile. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like he actually sees me. It's not the ending I wanted, but maybe it's the one we both needed. It's been just over a year since everything came out about Marlene's cancer. And honestly, the fallout was bigger than I expected, but also strangely healing in ways I didn't see coming. After the truth spread through the family, there was a lot of anger. My dad tried to quietly shut down the GoFundMe and refund as many people as he could, but word got out anyway. One of his old co-workers, who had donated $500, posted publicly on Facebook about being scammed. That post snowballed fast. Dozens of comments from people who had given money, sympathy and support. Some were furious, some were heartbroken, and some said they'd suspected all along but didn't want to be cruel. At first, my dad tried to defend her, or maybe defend himself. He wrote one long post saying, "Marlene was going through a mental health crisis. Please don't harass her, she needs help." Not hate, but people didn't let it go. The GoFundMe was reported and eventually shut down. She was permanently banned from using the platform after they confirmed the campaign was fraudulent. I later learned she'd also been messaging some people privately for direct donations through Venmo and PayPal. So it was probably more money than we realized. Legally, no one pressed charges. Most people just wanted to move on. But the damage to her reputation was total. Every mutual friend, every family member, every church acquaintance, gone. She was publicly humiliated. And honestly, that was punishment enough. For a while, I didn't hear much about her. My dad told me she'd moved in with her sister Brenda in Florida and was supposedly trying to get better. Then one day, out of nowhere, I got a message from Marlene herself. It was this long, rambling email about how she'd lost herself, how she never meant to hurt anyone, and how she just wanted to feel loved and seen. She said she'd been misunderstood her whole life and begged me not to hold hate in my heart. I read the whole thing twice, just to be sure I wasn't missing anything real underneath the manipulation. But it was the same old performance. No accountability, no apology for lying, just self-pity wrapped in spiritual buzzwords. I didn't respond, I didn't block her either. I just archived it and never thought about it again. My dad, meanwhile, went through a lot of self-reflection. He started therapy every week and joined a support group for people recovering from toxic relationships. He told me once that he realized his biggest fear wasn't being alone. It was feeling unwanted. And that fear made him an easy target for people like Marlene. It was hard for him at first. He missed her, not because of who she was, but because she filled a void he didn't know how to fill himself. But with time, he started to heal. He started reconnecting with people he distanced himself from. My mom, his sister, even some of his old friends he'd lost touch with during his marriage. About 6 months ago, he came to visit me and Luke for a long weekend. We grilled in the backyard, watched movies, and talked about everything except Marlene. On the last night, he told me, I used to think the hardest thing was admitting she lied. But it turns out, the hardest thing was forgiving myself for letting it happen. That was the first time I saw him truly at peace in years. The rest of the family eventually moved past it too. My Aunt Linda, who had basically exposed the lie, stopped talking about Marlene altogether. People still bring it up occasionally at gatherings, but more as a cautionary tale than a wound. Sometimes, when I think about the whole thing, I wonder what drives someone to that level of deceit. To fake cancer, to manipulate family, to lie to people who love you. I think Marlene was lonely. Profoundly, tragically lonely. And she didn't know how to exist without being the center of attention. She craved sympathy like oxygen, but sympathy built on lies always suffocates the truth eventually. For me, the biggest change is how I approach family now. I used to think keeping the peace was the same as being kind. Now I know better. Sometimes kindness is uncomfortable honesty. Sometimes it's setting boundaries and walking away from someone else's chaos. As for my dad and me, we're closer than we've ever been. We don't talk about Marlene much anymore. But every now and then, he'll sigh and say something like, I can't believe I didn't see it, I always tell him. You see clearly now. That's what matters. He recently started dating again. Actually, her name's Christine. She's quiet, warm, and nothing like Marlene. She met me and Luke a few weeks ago, and it was normal, no drama, no fake smiles, no tension. Just normal human interaction. It felt good. When I look back at how all of this started, that one accusation that made me the heartless daughter, it still stings a little. Because for a long time I doubted myself. I wondered if maybe I was too harsh. But now, standing where I am, I know the truth. I wasn't heartless. I was just done being manipulated, and honestly, that was the moment everything changed for the better. Marlene's gone. But she left behind something she never meant to. Clarity. My dad and I rebuilt what we lost, not because of her, but in spite of her, and sometimes, when I see those old pictures of her online. New name, new account, new healing business, I don't feel anger anymore. Just a quiet kind of pity because some people never change. And I finally made peace with that, I got my dad back, and that's more than I ever thought I'd get out of that mess.